communicating more effectively with homeowners. Councillor McDermott says people need to be made aware of what is going on.
There's a lot of work being done. There was a very good meeting with the senior engineers, with the Engineers Ireland, with the geologists, with the laboratories to get clearance and get clear guidelines as to how to go forward with stage 2 applications, stage 1 applications and stage 3 for all those applications to go through in a nice timely manner, which needs to happen. Clearly a lot of our communications could be a lot better, and I think that's something that has been emphasised, that we do need to get our point out there and show what's actually happening here at the council.
Of a demand for action on corruption claims made at last year's budget meeting, the acting chief executive of Donegal County Council told members this week that further information has been sought from the member who made the comments. Liam Ward said when that has been responded to, then the council will brief members. However, Councillor Nicholas Crossan, who raised the issue, told the meeting that's effectively a cut and paste of the answer given at the last minute. He says comments were made which have put members and officials under a cloud, and more urgency is needed in dealing with the issue.
It's a year down the line since some of the members, or indeed most of the members of Donegal County Council, were being accused of being corrupt and in league with the members of staff, and I refute that statement, and so does the members of the independent grouping, and I would like a clarification on it, and Councillor Micheál Collum either to come out and apologise or produce the evidence.
Today's weather will be generally dry with hazy sunshine, light breezes, cool with the highest temperatures of 6 to 9 degrees. That's all for now. We'll be back with an update again at 10 o'clock, but until then, good morning.
Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Steve.
And we're the Happy Pair. Did you know if it says the Happy Pair on it, you can be sure
it's healthy, plant-based, made using the best locally sourced ingredients and sustainable.
And we are award-winning too, so you know it's worth it.
You'll find us in your local Centra and SuperValu.
The Happy Pair. Eat well, feel good, live better.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Good morning to you. Just turning 4 minutes past 9 this Tuesday, the 29th of November 2022. How are you keeping this morning? The lines are open for you right now, as I mentioned just before the news. If you want to get in touch with us, we have plenty lined up for you, as I mentioned. But we want your views, your comments, your topics, your good news, and maybe your issues that need some work on. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. 086 60 25,000. Or give us a call at 07491 25,000. Emails, comments at highlandradio.com. Of course, you can watch the programme live on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland. Like and subscribe, hit the bell. Same applies for Facebook. You won't miss a thing when we go live. Or you can watch directly on our website in browser. Click Watch Live at highlandradio.com. Right, the Donegal People's Press. Hundreds of Defective concrete blocks campaigners have voiced their anger at Donegal County Council's handling of the crisis at a demonstration outside the local authority's headquarters. This in the Donegal People's Press, I think I mentioned. Protesters held a heated demonstration outside County House in Lifford ahead of Monday morning's scheduled plenary meeting of the local authority. Anger from affected homeowners has been mounting in recent weeks over the ongoing delays in the redress scheme and frustration at what is seen as a lack of clarity about solutions for people living in unsafe and unhealthy homes. The beginning of the meeting was delayed for an hour and a half to allow campaigners to address councillors and officials in the chamber. Caherlock of the council, Councillor Liam Blaney, and Director of Services Liam Ward addressed the protesters outside the council headquarters. Members of the crowd expressed their frustration to councillors outside the meeting before it was due to begin at 11 a.m. Some councillors were subjected to booing and heckling as they made the way into the meeting. So I wonder what came from that. Hopefully more urgency anyway. The Derry Journal has the sad story of little Caitlin Strain, the 9-year-old girl who captured the hearts of people across the northwest. Well, she's to be laid to rest this morning. There's been widespread grief after the untimely death of the Burnfoot girl who was diagnosed with a brain tumour in February 2021, 3 days before her 8th birthday. Caitlin underwent surgeries, radiotherapy and chemotherapy, and a number of fundraisers were launched right across the northwest to help support her and her family during this time. And our family and friends and school friends and teachers and the whole community obviously devastated at the sad news of Caitlin's passing, and we wish them all the strength that they need at this time to get through this difficult time. Our thoughts very much with them. The national newspapers this morning, the Irish Independent. I've spoken to people on this programme that went into hospital, and even some people that were still undergoing cancer treatment, and they started getting letters, threatening letters, looking for money that was owed, 100 quid, 150 quid, €200, to be returned to them. Hassled for it. Lots of people have been in that same situation. But sometimes you feel that the more money you have or the more that you owe, the less you really have to face. Because a former dentist turned hotel investor and property developer has had a record €170 million in debts written off by the High Court. The personal insolvency arrangement was granted to Barry Hart, 55, by Mr. Justice Alexander Owens. Mr. Hart from Timalogue County Court received the write-off in return for a payment of €70,000 to his unsecured creditors. The write-off dwarfs the previous record of $133 million set in 2018 in a PIA granted to former Ireland rugby team manager Pat Whelan. Mr. Hart established Hart's Holdings in the early 2000s, which specialised in property investment and development, primarily in the residential and hospitality sectors in Ireland and London. So he owed $170 million and ended up having to pay $70 million, the rest being written off. Lots and lots of people owed money there that will never see it. The Irish Times now. Some positive news, I think. The number of Irish people who are living after cancer has grown by more than a half over the past decade as survival rates continue to improve. 1 in every 24 people in the population has survived cancer, as the number of survivors passed the 200,000 mark for the first time, according to the latest annual statistics report from the National Cancer Registry. Almost half of the 207,000 survivors have experienced breast or prostate cancer. However, 10% fewer cancer diagnoses were made in 2020 due to the impact of services of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is equivalent to about 2,000 fewer people diagnosed with the disease than might have been expected. There was an 11% drop in the number of microscopically verified cancers in 2020 compared with what was expected according to NCR Ireland. These figures are lower than the 10 to 14% drop suggested last year by preliminary data. And you just wonder still, as you reflect, how services couldn't have gone at a dual track. In other words, try as much as you can to limit deaths from COVID, but not at the expense of poorer outcomes and fewer diagnoses for other people. I mean, it was managed in retail, it was managed in other sectors and all that type of stuff. Why was it not able to be achieved in health? The Irish Daily Mail, again, good news for the well-off, because a ban on bankers' bonuses at banks bailed out by the state that were introduced following the financial crash is to be removed. Now, we don't want this. I don't think the public want this. Do you? Do you want to see bankers' bonuses returned? I didn't really hear any government officials, in the mass, like, a motion or a dull debate on this issue where anyone was calling for it. The banks want it. Paschal Donoghue is riding off to the sunset, I suppose you could say, as Minister for Finance, and whoever's in his ear, he's decided that this is one of the things he wants to do in his last days in office. He wants to return these bonuses to the bankers. The scandals of the banks, by the way, of course, we bailed them out. €45 billion of taxpayers' money was spent to bail out the banks. And it wasn't as a punishment just for that as such that these caps were introduced. It was really to appease the public who were disgusted at what was going on because of the mismanagement of finances and a culture that was in the banking industry that allowed the type of reckless management of funds that left the banks needing that bailout in the first place. Then we, of course, have the tracker mortgage scandal, which is not historic. Earlier this year, people were still being hit with that. Very few people have been held accountable for that at all. And yet here we are. It's like nothing has happened. Middle of November, Paschal Donoghue is about to leave as the Minister for Finance, and he is going to seek to end the bonus ban and other legacy restrictions in one of his final acts as finance minister. The memo will allow for bonuses of up to €20,000 to be permitted once again at Bank of Ireland, AIB and permanent TSB. Now that bonus is not far off what a lot of people are earning. A ban on standard benefits such as childcare and health insurance will also be lifted. Well, that's maybe more palatable. A salary cap of €500,000 will be removed from Bank of Ireland. The state sold its final shareholding in BOI at the end of September. And the same argument is used for the high salaries at the likes of RTE, that, you know, you have to pay the big money to attract the best. Do you, though? Where's the evidence of that? Where's the proof of that? I heard well, I won't get into it, but people suggesting that if you don't pay people big money, that they will be taken away to work somewhere else. Where's the evidence of that? I haven't seen much of that. Right. The Irish Daily Star this morning. What do you think about this one? Cash for cans is on the way after the government announced details of a nationwide system that will give consumers cash back for empty cans and bottles. You'll be able to get 15 cent back for a regular small soft drink can and 25 cent for an ordinary plastic water bottle of 500 millilitres or larger. However, it also means that drinks in cans and plastic bottles will become dearer because there'll be an extra deposit tax slapped on these drinks to help pay for the new scheme. Although the wholesale of soft drinks is not incredibly transparent at times, so I'm not sure if the customer will feel much of that increase. A non-profit company called Return.ie will run a network of special vending machines that will give you money back in return for your empty used aluminium cans and plastic bottles. So do you think you'll gather up the bottles? Will there be less waste? 15 cent for a small soft drink can. I don't think that's insignificant, you know. I mean, you get 20 cans together, you know, you have a loaf of bread there, or a couple of litres of milk. 25 cents for an ordinary plastic bottle. I can see, I think the reward is such that it would actually almost pay to go out gathering that stuff over time. Do you think that will work? Is it a good idea? It depends where you bring them, though. You know, will we see a vendor here? Will it be all over the place? Will it be in shops? I don't know how that's going to work. In other countries, they're everywhere in shopping centres, but we are a spread out kind of rural country. We'll see how it goes, but it could be good news. It looks like it could be positive. The Irish, what do you think, though? By the way, of course, 086 60 25,000. Consumers, we're told, will have greater protection against everything from rip-off solicitors to dodgy builders beginning today. The government also announced businesses are now banned from posting fake reviews of their products. Tánaiste Leo Varadkar says the new regulations will protect shoppers from sale ads that turn out to be bogus. He said the government is very conscious of rising costs, especially at this time of year when consumer activity is at its highest level and people have greater needs than ever to make every euro go further. There's also some rules as it relates to sale prices and how long an item has actually been available at the higher price prior to it being announced as a sale price, which I think is actually to be welcomed, because if you watch closely, you can see what's going on. How many of us would you say have drank and drove the last year? Would you say 1 in 10? 1 in 200? It's 1 in 4. More than 1 in 4. More than 1 in 4 people have seen motorists drink alcohol before driving in the last year, data reveals. I beg your pardon. We've seen it. We haven't done it. Okay, that's... I read this before coming on air, and I read it completely different. I sit down now, and it's a completely different story. It's my fault, not the papers, of course. It hasn't changed. But 1 in 4 of us, over 1 in 4 of us, have seen motorists drink alcohol before driving in the last year. The research also found 1 in 10 men who were quizzed knew of someone who got behind the wheel after having a lot of alcohol during the same time period. The shocking findings, which were released by insurance company Aviva, come just days after World Remembrance Day for road traffic victims and just before the busy Christmas period. Speaking about the research, Aviva's Billy Shannon said, encouragingly, most people, 74%, do not know anyone who has driven their car in the last 12 months after having consumed alcohol, but the numbers who do cannot be ignored. And we know that how it inhibits your driving ability and how it can lead to a serious injury and fatalities. So over 1 in 4 of us have seen someone booze and get behind the wheel. Right, 086 60 25,000 WhatsApp and text just before the break. There are black and white cows on the Letterkenny side of the Letterkenny to Creasla Road. Drive with care. So if you're going from Letterkenny to Creasla, keep an eye out for black and white cows on the road there. All right, back in a moment with more on the programme.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountain Top, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
The Cavan Man is back to help you get the best price cars in Donegal. iMotors have the largest selection of pre-owned cars, from small cars that are handy insured to 7-seaters for the whole family. So pop online to imotors.ie for the best price cars around.
With the ongoing war in Ukraine affecting the cost of energy, many of us are facing a challenging winter. Through Budget 23, Government is introducing a range of supports to lessen the financial impact on families, households and businesses, and will continue to monitor the situation in the coming months to protect those in difficulty. It's important that everyone stays warm and well, but where safe and possible to do so, reducing energy use can also reduce bills. Changes like turning your thermostat down by 1 degree and considering how often you use energy-intensive appliances like tumble dryers can make a big difference. For information on available supports and energy-saving advice, visit gov.ie/reduce your use. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Hi, Dad.
Just popping on to say hi, love.
How did you manage to video call?
I'm a bit of a computer whiz these days.
I can see that.
And it's not just video calls. With High Digital's free online course, Paddy also learned to do the grocery shopping. And you can too.
So how are you, Dad?
Hang on, I've a very funny gift to send you. Or is it GIF?
Learn essential online skills today at highdigital.ie. Brought to you by Vodafone Ireland Foundation, Active Retirement Ireland and Alone. Vodafone, together we can.
Burglars are now doing their Christmas shopping. And guess what? They might just be calling with you. Install a wire-free burglar alarm from Sheridan Security Systems before December 31st and get 6 months round-the-clock monitoring free. Contact us today on 912-6025 for a free quotation. Have a peaceful Christmas with Sheridan Security.
The choices we make determine where we're going. Where will your choices take you? Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles and join the thousands of Irish drivers who swap diesel for Toyota hybrid electric, lowering their emissions and fuel costs. We've Ireland's widest hybrid electric range, including the Toyota CHR and Yaris Cross. Don't miss out. Order today at Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world.
Okay, now some comments we didn't get to yesterday. As it relates to a story we were speaking about a fraud against the Carndonna Traders Group. They were defrauded of thousands of euro, and it was this invoice fraud. A caller says, that's awful what happened to Carn Traders Group. They're fantastic putting on carnivals and helping the community. Banks should be more secure nowadays. Well, they have set up a GoFundMe, if you want to search it on GoFundMe. They say that even a small donation could help Carndonna community reach their fundraising goal. And if you can't make a donation, it'd be great if you could share the fundraiser to help spread the word. And you can go to GoFundMe and search Carndonna, and it should pop up there, because they have an outstanding bill to a vendor who supplied a carnival, so to speak. And now there's a shortfall. I was watching Primetime on RTE on Thursday. An apartment complex in Dublin was given a fire certificate 2 years before the building was completed. The fire officer issued the cert on the promise that the building would be constructed according to the plans. The apartments are now deemed unsafe and will have to be repaired at a cost of €65,000 to each tenant. Only in Ireland could you find such incompetence. A caller says, living in a council property with a severely asthmatic child and the property is damp and mould growing. She's coughing every night. There is a device on the wall, I think it's a PIV, that blows cold air in from the outside, and the place is impossible to heat. It's freezing. Only here 6 months. Dread to see how bad it will be in a few more. Did you contact the council, though, to make your views known and articulate it to them like you did us? Let us know if you did. Donegal Gap Heritage and History Group, I've been asked to mention, will hold their 2022 AGM on Sunday the 11th of December. It's at 12 noon in the Parish Centre, Ardra. It's beside the Church of the Holy Family, Ardra. All are most welcome. And one more announcement here for now. Moville Community College transition years are having a coffee morning until 12:30 this morning. It is to kick off Christmas if you want to go along and support that. Right, okay. Now, a sad story of a young boy. He's being treated in hospital after he sustained serious injuries in a dog attack in County Wexford. Garda and emergency services were called to the scene of the incident in Enniscorthy yesterday afternoon. The 9-year-old boy is understood to have been attacked by a dog belonging to a neighbour while playing on a green with friends. Neighbours managed to pull the dog off him. The dog, understood to be a American bully, has been killed. And of course, this, as it always does with such an awful case, sparks a conversation about dog ownership, the responsibility of ownership. Kathleen Murray is a dog expert and joins us on the programme now. Kathleen, thanks for taking the call today.
You're welcome, Greg.
I suppose, how many instances like this are we going to hear about? How many people are going to have to carry life-changing injuries, or in some cases be killed, before we start maybe having a more useful conversation about dog ownership and the responsibility of it?
Yeah, sometimes you feel like you're beating your head against a wall when you're trying to convince people how dangerous situations can become. And this is a very serious incident that happened here to this child. That child could have been killed if the neighbours hadn't gotten the dog off. Now, I can't comment on the actual happening of it because I don't know if the dog got loose accidentally, if the dog was already out running free, or what the situation was. So I don't know any of those details. But when you have a dog, you know, it's an incredible responsibility. And, you know, when you get a car or you start to drive, you have to have a licence. There's learning, there's tests, there's things to get there. But when you get a licence for a dog, there's none of that. I mean, you don't have to show that you can control the dog. You don't have to show that you know anything at all about a dog. So, you know, there's a lot of people getting dogs and they just don't know enough about the dogs. And the bully breed is only a recent breed, really. It only came in the 1990s, and it was a cross between the better sides of the pit bulls and the Staffordshire Bull Terriers. There was a few dogs in the mix. But and I've worked with bullies, and they've been some of the nicest and best dogs I've ever worked with. They're incredibly intelligent dogs. So it still always comes back to who's handling them, who actually is working with these dogs, who's not working with these dogs, you know, what are they letting them do. They're very friendly, great family dogs. Definitely, they're really, really good family dogs. But no dog is good outside of its own family unless it's been socialised and it's either a happy-go-lucky dog, because there's a lot of dogs with different personalities. You could have 10 children, and they're all of different personalities. Dogs are the same, different personalities, so you need to know what you're working with. Some are a little more hard-headed than others. Some are a little more timid and shy and nervous than others. So, you know, it depends on the dog that you're actually working with. So you need to know who you're working with to start with, and then to tailor their learning to that personality, basically.
But before we talk more about that, though, before we talk more about that, and we'll tease through that, Kathleen, can any dog be trusted 100%?
Absolutely not. And when I see dogs advertised as good with children, I just want to cry. You want to pull your hair out, because there's no dog on this planet that's good with children unless they are either brought up with children or have some experience around children. And even then, even with my own dogs who were doing education in schools where there was children petting them and touching them all the time, even then you would never, ever in your wildest dreams leave a dog alone with a child, because you just don't know when an accident is going to happen. You have to be thinking ahead all the time, you know. It's a very serious situation when you've got children and dogs together. They're like magnets to each other. They can overexcite each other. And when a dog could be calm, and then as soon as the dog gets overexcited, that can actually turn into an attack.
Now,
if you ever see two dogs coming running...
You often see, I'm not judging people, but on TikTok or on the reels on Facebook, whatever, you often see people having babies with dogs, you know what I mean? And they think it's cute, and the dog's lying on the baby and the baby's lying on the dog.
Yeah.
I mean, how would a dog view a toddler or a baby versus how a dog might view an adult? Do you know what I mean? Like, do we presume... What is the psychology? Do people presume that the dog sees the baby as a puppy, as a friend, or what? Like, I mean, I presume our size and how we treat a dog, we get respect that way. I just would wonder, would you have concerns with people that allow young children and babies and toddlers to interact so much with their dog?
Well, the thing with dogs and babies there are always good dogs and bad dogs whenever it comes to actually working with children. And when I say bad dogs, I don't mean the dog is bad. I just mean that the circumstances and the situation is bad. People put children into situations with dogs that is highly dangerous, and you just can't even fathom what they were thinking when they did it, And then you've got children who can tease dogs. A dog could be fairly easygoing and level-headed and grand, mind his own business in his garden, and you've got children outside the fence teasing it. That dog then will change because it's now going to react to those children, and if it ever gets out, it's going to actually go after those children. So whose fault is that when you think of it, really? I mean, you will have to educate children as well as dogs. The children are on almost face level with most dogs, like toddlers and a Labrador. They're practically on face level. So if an accident happens, if anything goes wrong, it's only one snap and it's the child's face that's going to get it, or if they're lying on top of a dog. Dogs don't like to be hugged the way we like to be they don't like to be hugged the way we like to be hugged, because they, if a dog comes up alongside another dog and puts his face against their neck like that, that's a challenge. They're actually challenging that other dog. So, dogs will think through the mind of a dog. They don't think through the mind of a human. So therefore, they might see this as a challenge and they might turn around and snap to chastise that child, not meaning any harm, but because they have teeth and because the child's skin is not very thick, they will do damage,
Yeah, now, I mean, I want to talk to you about what realistically we can do going forward. In other words, what might be likely to happen that would make a difference. But you put an awful lot of focus on dog owners and dog ownership. So with that in mind, do you favour the banning of certain breeds, Kathleen? Are certain breeds not really suitable for a domestic environment in how we care and look after our dogs? Or is it all about the humans for you?
Well, from somebody who has worked with all of those breeds, and I have worked, as I say, for many years with all of those breeds, I know those breeds really well, and I know what they're capable of, and I know what they're like to be as family members, to be as guard dogs, because I've worked with some of them as guard dogs and some of them. It depends on the situation you put the dog into. It also depends on the upbringing of the dog. If the dog is brought up properly, it doesn't matter what breed it is, it will have a certain basic education. It won't overreact in certain situations. But having said that, bigger dogs have bigger jaws. They can, especially the fighting breeds, a lot of the bully breeds were bred for guard dogs and fighting. That was their main focus. But the bully breed now has been bred more or less for a companion. But it's still in its infancy. I mean, breeding takes a long time to breed out traits. And then again, as I say, you've got a dog that can change with circumstances. Circumstances can change even the best of dogs, So it's very hard to say. You can't just say if it's a breed. But I will say that if you've got a dog with very powerful jaws, you need to be very powerfully responsible for that dog.
Right, so then what do you think we need to do as a nation, and maybe what's achievable, Kathleen, rather than what would be ideal in terms of dog ownership and the responsibility and in terms of, do you think it's realistic that people should have to go through some sort of a course before they are themselves even, let's put it like this, licensed to own a dog?
Yeah, well, I think it goes further back than that, Greg, because I think there's a lot of responsibility on breeders as well. If you're breeding lots of dogs and you're handing them out to this one and that one, you don't know where that dog's going to end up. You don't know the circumstances that dog's going to go into. It's a responsibility when you pass that dog on to somebody else as well. And, why breed them in the first place? If they're going to be causing so many problems and they're not going to be suitable for family pets.
Yeah, but it's a very lucrative business, and I think as soon as you start trying to interfere with that, that's when the pushback comes. I just don't know if anything will be changed in that regard.
Yeah, that's true. So, they're breeding them. They're there on the market. They're being advertised as good with children. They've been advertised as great family pets. They are, but they have to be brought up properly. So the owners are not educated enough when they buy them, I think. And, even if they've had one before and it was a great dog, the next one is not going to be that dog. The next one is going to be a different personality and a different dog. And I think owners don't know enough about that. So I think a lot more owner education. Maybe, I don't know, should you have to attend a workshop or something before you actually own a dog? I mean, you'll get a big kickback to that as well. They'll be saying, do you think we're stupid? Like, we've had dogs all our lives. But you haven't had that dog, the one that's going to bite, the one that's going to get overexcited and attack. You haven't had that dog, and that dog does exist because some of them get overexcited. If you've got two dogs in the house, many of the dog owner will be able to identify with this. If you have two dogs in the house and you call them and they come very excited together, they start getting jealous of each other whenever you pet one first or whatever, and the one that thinks that they're more entitled to the petting will try to put the other one off, and it ends up an actual dog fight in front of you. They start turning on each other. That's what happens when you've got a dog that's overexcited, and excitement causes a lot of injuries. Lack of supervision of children. Children can walk into a room and the dog can be lying there minding its own business, sleeping. Child can go over, pull his tail, poke its eye, start sticking their fingers in its ears. Children are curious. Toddlers don't know any different. So you have to be very careful with them all. You can't educate a toddler, but you can help it to realise, you can try and encourage it to pet the dog more gently and not to see the dog as a toy, and try and supervise the toddler better for their own safety as well, or have them in two different rooms when the dog's having a nap, or, whatever. But don't just throw them all into the mix together and hope for the best, because that does not work.
We've seen, I haven't dealt with, I haven't gone through this process myself, but I've spoken to rehoming charities, and my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, Kathleen, that they'll want to speak to the family who's looking to take the dog. They might want to inspect the property, see, ask about exercise, see what kind of space they have for the dog before they will agree to give this dog to the person. Is something like that realistic? I don't know if there's any model anywhere in the world along these lines, but I mean, something like that presumably would be helpful. But that being said, it would not eliminate what we're talking about today.
Yeah, that's true, because charities do phenomenal work. I'll have to say that. They do phenomenal work in rehoming dogs and trying to match up dogs and owners, and, doing their best for the animal. And they do the home checks and all, and that is necessary. But nationwide, as you say, how is that going to work? Will people start resenting it? They shouldn't, because, if the dog's going to... Your yard or your garden should be dog-proof. Your dog shouldn't be able to get out of the garden in any shape or form. If you own a dog, you need to have somewhere secure to keep that dog. Now, whether you fence off to the back of the house or whatever, but if your dog does harm to somebody coming in to ring the doorbell, you're responsible for that. And that dog risks being put to sleep because of your mistake and your accident. Now, having said that, with the best will in the world, a visitor could come in, a door could be left open accidentally, the summertime, there's windows open, dogs are fast. You have to think ahead, you have to plan if you've got a dog, you have to know your dog. And, a lot of dogs want to escape, they want to get out because they're not getting enough exercise. So that's what I'm saying, owners really need to know what they're doing, they need to know what the dog needs, and they need to educate their dogs. But before that, they need to be educated.
Would it be fair at this point to recognise, if you agree, Kathleen, that we're talking about a minority here? It's the same as when we talk about dog fouling or dogs not being controlled in public spaces, what have you. The majority of dog owners are incredibly responsible and very caring and understanding of their dog's needs. Would you say that's a fair statement, isn't it?
It is, but I would say it could be 70-30, because there are an awful lot of dog owners who just don't know enough. A lot of dog owners had a dog when they were a child, and they had a great time with that dog and they loved that dog, and now that they've grown up they wanted a dog of their own, and they think that it's going to be like that dog. But what they don't realise is it was their parents that were looking after that dog, not them. They were just playing with it, and that's why they had the great time, because they were protected by their parents and the dog was looked after as well. So now when they become adults, I've met a lot of people like this, and then they come and they say, but the dog is doing this and he's biting and he's this and that and the other. He's just doing normal puppy things, but you don't know how to handle it. That's the problem. So that's where the education comes in. And reading up on the internet, you've got 3 different dog trainers saying 3 different things. It's like going to doctors. No harm to doctors. They're brilliant. We couldn't live without them. But you get different opinions from different people.
Well, you can say
and
that about
so
you
you
can say
have
a
to
lot
start
of what
weeding through it.
Yeah, a lot of what you're saying, though, you could say about children, really. You know, we're not licensed to raise children. A lot of it we're learning as we go.
Well, absolutely,
You know,
because
so
there's
it's
no
like
book that's going
there's
to
no
tell you
book,
how to raise a
and I
particular child.
Exactly, and I wonder, is there a book on dogs? What do you think? A caller wants to know if the collars for the dogs with the boundary wires, you know, that will give them a wee jeg. Some of them are wireless as well. What do you think about that? Do you have any objection to that? I think they want to know.
The fence around the garden?
Yeah, you know, where they wear a collar, and if they pass the wire, they get a wee buzz,
Yeah.
I think. Or maybe it's a noise. I'm not really quite sure. I've never
Okay.
used one of them. Like, do you think that's
Well,
an
what I
effective way
think
to control
about
your...
that is, what I think about that is, number one, I wouldn't get it from my dog. Number two, they don't work in every situation, because I've seen dogs literally walk through them. Because if a dog is highly motivated to chase and sees a cat, that fence is not going to stop that
Does it
dog.
not assist, though,
If a
in
dog
learning
likes
their
to chase
behaviour?
bicycles,
Sorry, Kathleen, there's a slight delay in the line. Does it not assist, though, in learning, you
Sorry.
know, does it not, it's my fault, really, it's the line's fault, it's not yours. Does it not assist, though, in them learned behaviour? In other words, that of course they'll go through it once or twice, but eventually they'll go, I'm not going to chase that bike anymore.
No, because some dogs have a high prey drive, and if they're not taught how to rechannel that energy, if that energy is not put into something else, then they're going to be lying there in the garden with a lot of time to themselves, no supervision. They see a bike, they're going to chase it, and they're going to take the zap on the way out. But then when they turn to come back again, they know the zap is waiting for them, so they're not going to come back in again, because the excitement is now past and their pain threshold is different. So they're not going to come back in. So now you've got a dog on the loose outside the garden and won't come back in home. Can't come back home because it doesn't want to get zapped. So I've seen that happen so many times. That's why I have no time for those fences.
Yeah,
Get a proper fence. That's my advice.
Yeah, exactly. Is there an easy answer to this one? How do you control a golden retriever? It's misbehaving all the time. It's just 4 months old.
Oh, well, the golden retriever, I can tell you, if you're talking about a golden retriever misbehaving, you've got one of the easiest dogs to raise on the planet, because golden retrievers are generally fairly happy-go-lucky dogs, but they're very excitable, and when they're young, they have a lot of energy, like most dogs have. So what you've got is an energetic pup, and once they reach 4 to 4.5 months, they start going into a different level in their development, where they start to become a little more heedless, a little more cheeky, starting to push the boundaries a little bit. So they're like 11 and 12-year-olds. They're not quite there, but they're starting to feel the influence of, maybe I do have a bit of clout. And so they're testing the waters. So you have to know what you're doing with that. You have to start bringing that dog up properly. What has it learned before now? Because socialisation usually ends at 3 months. Then you're into management after that and training. So what have you actually taught the dog? Most people will say, to sit and give a paw. How useful is that if it's going to run out in front of a car? That's what I always ask. You need to teach your dog to come when it's called. You need to do all of that through games at this stage.
Okay, games. So it's
to come when it's called.
It's rewards.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no golden retriever I ever saw refuse food. So they absolutely love food. And Labradors are the same. They would eat the carpets off the floor. They love putting stuff in their mouth and chewing on it and eating. So they have big appetites. So if you have some really tasty treats, then to get your dog to come when it's called, you need to have something with a bit of pulling power. I'm not talking about dog nuts. See, the dog nuts can do for teaching them how to sit and other things or tricks if you really want to go down that road. But you need something that they would definitely turn their head and come running for. And so what you do is you call the dog over across the room. Don't put any pressure on the puppy. Just let the puppy come in its own time, and when it comes, it gets a reward. Now, it knows you have the reward, so you're going to find it hard to get rid of it after that for a few minutes. But let the moment pass, and then a few minutes later, call the puppy again. Then it's advance on to the stage where you want to go out of the room and call it out into the hallway, or call it out into the back garden, or call it in from the garden. Now, when some dogs get a little bit older, they don't want to come back in because they're having fun chasing and running around the place, especially in the summertime. So there's a trick that you can use for that, and that is you can get a metal bowl with a metal spoon and tap the spoon with the bowl and put something really tasty into it and start this off in the kitchen and then put the bowl in front of the dog. So the dog knows when it hears this bowl being tapped, it's going to get something tasty. So if it's used to that and you do that in the house a few times, then let the dog out, tap the bowl, and I can guarantee you that dog's going to come running. So, there's lots of things, tricks that you can use to get a dog to come back. But no dog, as I say, is 100%. Even the best trained dogs, there will be that one time when they get distracted, when they don't want to come back or whatever. So it's always a good idea to have, maybe if you're out somewhere or away from home or out on a walk, take a long lead. And I don't mean an extension lead. I mean like a 10 or 20 metre lead, so the dog can actually get away from you.
What is a tasty treat, Kathleen? Sorry.
And come back.
What's a tasty treat for
Sorry?
is a tasty treat for a dog? You said not nuts. They like nuts, but something that's irresistible.
Your food. They love your food because it's food at the end of the day, and it's actually more nutritious in a lot of cases. So if you give things like, if you have, say you have a roast and you have some maybe sweet potatoes or something like that, break them up into tiny pieces because dogs love that kind of stuff, It depends. Some dogs I saw a dog that would kill for a raw potato. Now, they're not good for them, but, there's people who give dogs all kinds of things. So you have to look at what you're actually giving your dog as well. So it needs to be healthy food. So you can also have some carrots. Some dogs love carrots. Some dogs don't love carrots. So find out what your dog actually likes. It depends if you're a meat eater, if you're a vegan, you can give them lots of different things. So, cooked food usually works the best.
I won't delay you much longer.
Something that smells nice and strong.
Yeah, a caller says a huge dog in the apartment above all day and is causing a nuisance for us living below. It's a big dog. It's not fair on the dog. How do you approach such an issue?
Well, what you can do is you can actually ring maybe the dog wardens and ask them to have a word with them and see maybe they could advise them to maybe exercise their dog more, maybe to leave their dog in daycare, or maybe get a neighbour to come in and take the dog out for a bit of walk while they're at work or something. There's a lot of options there, or give them the name and number of a dog trainer, just throw it through the letterbox and say nothing. There's a lot of ways.
All right,
There's a lot of ways you can tackle a problem like that.
Some of them are underhand and some of them, but all effective. Kathleen, listen, thanks so much for your time this morning. I appreciate it greatly. All right, take care. Kathleen Murray there, dog expert. We're asking on our Facebook and Twitter, should there be more restrictions for owning a bull breed of dog after recent dogs attacks in Ireland? If you want to have a say on that, if you're perusing Facebook or Twitter, click yes or no. And tell us why as well, by the way, beyond the yes and no. All right, back with more on the 9 till noon show after this quick break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard. Bringing full banking features. Delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Hello, your fairy godmother here. Join me and my friends for the biggest panto in the Northwest, Cinderella. We're at the Millennium Forum from the 1st of December until the 2nd of January. Book your tickets now and you shall go to the ball. Tickets from millenniumforum.co.uk. Sponsored by the Richmond Centre.
Order. There's a lot to be said for it. Not the restrictive, always play by the book, straight down the line kind of order, but the order you place for a brand new 231 Audi. An order best placed having experienced true progress with a test drive at your Audi dealer, where you will also get advice on the options available to ensure owning your 231 Audi is as straightforward as possible, which is proper order. Visit your nearest Audi dealer, where future is an attitude.
Andrea Devon's Opticians, now open in 40 Retail Park, Letterkenny, specialising in a unique range of eyewear from across the globe. Call us now for an appointment. Andrea Devon's Opticians, Letterkenny, 07492 06191.
Christmas is the season of giving, but it can be difficult to know who on your list wants what. Save yourself the guesswork by giving the gift of choice. Whether you're buying for the foodie, fashionista or homebird of the family, they'll love a Dunnes Stores gift card. They can choose from everything we have in store and online, from fashion to homewares to groceries. It's the perfect choice to make this Christmas. Visit dunnesstores.com for details. Make Christmas for everyone. Terms and conditions apply.
The rescheduled Northwest Cross-Border Jobs Fair will be held on Wednesday, 30th of November from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. in the Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Bungrana. This event provides an opportunity to meet employers, check out the current vacancies and learn more about what training or education opportunities are on offer. So whether you're a job seeker, graduate or employed and wish to change jobs, start a new career or relocate, then please register your interest on eventbrite.ie and we look forward to seeing you there. This event is supported by the Cross-Border Partnership of Employment Services, the Department of Social Protection and Department of Communities.
So as we mentioned earlier on, a scheme to allow people return their used bottles and cans for up to 25 cents each has been launched. The deposit return scheme will start in February 2024, but a portal has been opened to allow producers and retailers to sign up. Customers will be charged 15 cents more for smaller bottles and cans, 25 cents more for those over 500 millilitres, but that money will be refunded when the containers are given back to be recycled at a designated point. Mindy O'Brien is Chief Executive of Voice Ireland and joins us now. And on the face of it, I mean, obviously people might not want to see an increase in a product at the point of purchase, but it's a decent reward for returning what could eventually become litter, Mindy.
Yes, thanks a million, Greg. It's cost neutral for the average Joe. So when they buy a can or a bottle of soda or beer or whatever, and it only applies to plastic bottles and aluminum cans, so it does not apply to glass bottles. But they can bring that back to any port. It doesn't have to be like a civic amenity center. It goes any place that sells these type of drinks. You can return it, and it will either be through a reverse vending machine, which is kind of, you put the bottle in, it scans the code in, it takes it in, and then it gives you a credit note that you can spend at the shop. Or also they can physically take them back by hand, but it should be cost neutral. It would reduce your recycling bin weight, so you should save money in your recycling bin by taking those bottles and cans out.
There's a bit of a lead in February 2024. Is that to get the logistics in place, I suppose, and see what kind of a buy-in there is across the industry?
Well, there has to be a buy-in, and they're required to, if you're putting on bottles or cans on the market, you're required to register for this. Also, retailers they'll get a certain, and I know retailers are a bit scared about this, but they will get an administrative fee. So for handling the bottles, the cans, they will get some money to pay for their staff and the loss of space in their shops for the reverse vending machines. But it will take a while to gear up. Right now, they need to get their reverse vending machines in place. They need to educate and get everyone signed in. So it will take about a year to get all that up and running.
Yeah, and you would imagine, you know, it needs to have that level of automation. You'd need those machines, and you would hope that even in a relatively small area, say there were 3 shops and one has one of these machines and their customers can, you know, start chipping away at the cost of the weekly shop or whatever it might be, that might drive demand for retailers to host these machines. Or are you saying that every retailer that sells cans or plastic bottles would have to have one of these?
They don't have to have the machines, but they have to take the bottles back. But also, I think, as you were saying, it would be economically disadvantaged. The shops will be economically disadvantaged if they don't take back, or they refuse to take back the bottles and cans, because a person's not going to take back the bottles and cans to one shop and then shop at another shop. They do it all in one go. So that's why we want to make sure it's a one-stop shop for the consumer.
Have we seen elsewhere, any other countries where this has had an actual noticeable impact on the level of litter?
Oh, yes. It's in 40 other jurisdictions around the world, and there are 12 in Europe, and it's increased recycling up to 90%. Right now, we're pretty much hitting the top as we can get with our current system, about 65% for our bottles and cans. So it will really dramatically increase the amount of containers recycled.
Yeah, and I imagine that much of that remaining percentage is maybe people who might dispose of these bottles out the window of a car or a can. I mean, I suppose until such time as people's behaviour change, and we hope it will, there's a revenue stream there for Tidy Towns groups as well, presumably.
Exactly. So right now the website is open. It's called re/turn.ie, and they ask the retailers and producers to register. Later on next year, I'd say probably summertime next year, they'll be asking community groups to sign up as well, and schools and those entities that want to go out and collect bottles and cans as a fundraising revenue. But also what we hope and what we envision is that these reverse vending machines, usually you might have a choice. Do you want to take the credit yourself, or do you want to donate to a local charity, which would be a nice added benefit for the local groups?
Now, in terms of extending this to the likes of, paper or cardboard milk cartons, or those cups that you get your soft drink in when you order a takeaway through a drive-through or whatever it might be, it's not practical to extend it out to those to those products, is it?
Not at the moment, but what we're encouraging the government to accept is a similar system, a deposit return scheme for reusable containers, like takeaway containers or coffee cups. That you can have the same mentality and the same system, but you just need to have the collection mechanism on the street, so that for takeaway, say you get a container or a box of fish and chips, instead of getting it in a disposable packaging, you get it in a reusable packaging that you pay a deposit on, and then when you're walking down the street or wherever, there'll be a machine there that you can scan the code and get your money back. Because we need to look at, this system is great for collecting for recycling, but if we want to do better in our consumption, be best to move towards reusable packaging, so that we don't have to dispose of it. Rather, we can just use things over and over again. So this is something that we're working on for both coffee cups and takeaway containers.
Yeah, and this might sound like something new, but it's something I presume people adapt to very quickly. I mean, people don't think twice about sticking a euro or €2 in a shopping trolley and returning it and getting their money back. So I presume this will feel really quite normal mid-2025 or even a bit sooner.
I'd say they've had surveys. This has a lot of support from communities and from individuals. Speaking with local authority and councillors, they're all over this, because this would reduce their cost of litter collection. But also, it's just a little bit of a little change in your behavior. So when you go shopping and you bring your shopping bags, you bring your bottles and cans with you as well, so you can dispose of them when you get there. So yeah, it's a little bit of a change of behavior, but I think we're well able for it. We've done this before. Back in the 70s and 80s, we had a deposit return scheme for glass bottles, and people were very used to it then. So I think people will change, and if you're not willing to do it, maybe a local charity might be able to collect the bottles from your household.
I wish they'd recycle the URL, re-turn. I can never find that stroke on my keyboard.
I
but
know,
anyway,
I know, it's very difficult.
I don't know how much they paid I don't know how much they paid for someone to come up with that, but come on now. I don't know. Anyway, listen, that's by the by. Stay with me. Vincent Jennings is a chief executive of the Convenience Stores and Newsagents Associations. How do you think this will be? How much buy-in do you think there will be from your members, Vincent?
Well, sorry. Good morning, and I'm assuming that's Mindy on the other line.
Mindy O'Brien,
Vincent. Yeah, hi, Vincent.
Yeah, hi, Mindy. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, no, it's not how much buy-in. This is statutory. It is mandatory. We will have to do this.
I meant buy-in sort of emotionally, without resistance, and complaining about the cost of machines. Vincent is what I meant.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely no way that the small retailer can possibly buy these machines at any stage. I mean, they are enormously expensive, and now we're in the middle of a cost of living crisis, which will become, things priorities will have to change considerably. But we have to be part of it. But the design of the whole scheme needs to be finessed to the point that we actually take out any possibilities of improper activities, fraudulent activities. It's not just retailers who supply bottles and cans. There's hotels, there's bars, there's restaurants, there's guest houses, there's fast food outlets. There's a whole load of places, all of which will have to have their operations very clearly defined and delineated to prevent any products on which a deposit has not been charged.
But Vincent, just to try and be solution focused,
otherwise it would bankrupt in no time whatsoever.
Yeah, just to try and be solution focused here, Vincent. Is it not likely that a takeaway or hotel. I mean, are they also, sorry, Mindy, are they compelled also to have these facilities?
I don't believe hotels are required to have this. I think this is more just takeaways. I don't think have to take it back.
Right.
I think
So
it's
Vincent,
more retailers.
yeah. So Vincent, what will happen is
sorry, that's the question. The question is that they don't have to take it back.
Yeah.
I mean, are they obliged to make a charge upon it?
Yeah, but I
don't think hotels are. No.
Yeah, but I might go to one of your members, Vincent, right? And I might shop there because they have the machine. Surely a company will lease these out. Someone will see a business opportunity here, won't they?
Not with the return that requires 100,000 bottles to be returned before it actually will return a surplus. I mean, these are very, very costly, and nobody's in the business to lose money.
Have you a question then about competition, Vincent?
The whole scheme. I do. I have a real problem relating to. I mean, the minister, when he launched yesterday, spoke, effusively relating to the large discounters, the Aldis, the Lidls, and the like. We don't want to see business being directed or funneled towards these large businesses. We want to have the same opportunities as everybody else, but we need to design. And I mean, once again, coming back to, we are 100% enthusiastically in favour of this. Solutions can be brought about, but it does need a lot of thinking as to how we ensure that. I mean, you're in Highland Radio, you know only too well how close you are to the border, and we need to, unfortunately, because the Northern Ireland Department politically chose not to take this route, we now have a problem where we have the potential of either inadvertent or on purpose fraudulent activities taking place. We can't have that.
I mean, yeah, but lots of stuff goes on. You know, I mean, yesterday I treated myself to 2 cans of stuff, and they were multi-packs that aren't supposed to be sold individually. A lot of stuff goes on, Vincent. We find a way, don't we?
A way to what?
To make things work, to remain competitive.
Right. Well, I think that rules should actually be quite clearly defined. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, 100% I would. But I'm just saying, businesses find a way, seemingly.
Can I come in for a second on this in terms of the fraud? I know that Return will be, they have a common logo. They're going to create a QR code on each can and bottle so that when it's scanned, it will tell the retailer, yes, there's a deposit on this. No, there is not a deposit on this, to deal with the fraud issue with cans coming from the north or outside the jurisdiction.
Yeah. All right, but Vincent, as you say,
and that's fine, Mindy, and that's fine. But you're not the person standing in front of a person who's demanding their,
No, you're right.
Thought through.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. So it needs a bit of work, but we're all in the same space, I think. Really, is what we're saying.
Indeed.
Vincent, thank you very much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it. As I do yours, Mindy. Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Okay. Back with more after the news at 10.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Fly with Aer Lingus from Donegal to Dublin from $29.99 one way. That's 2 flights daily to and from Dublin. So what are you waiting for? See airlingus.com. Terms and conditions apply.
The world awaits you. Make that dream your next adventure. Cruise the Caribbean. Sail from Crete to Corsica. Soak in Santorini sunsets. Dine on the shores of the Indian Ocean. Stroll through cobbled streets for hidden gems, or bring the little ones to a magical wonderland. Trust the award-winning Atlantic Travel to guide your next adventure. Step through our doorway to the world. Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny.
Ballybuffet is the ideal place for all your Christmas celebrations this year. You can enjoy a festive atmosphere with excellent service and outstanding food at the Villa Rose and Jackson's hotels. We have a lively array of party nights, events and hotel packages to choose from. Visit us for festive dining with friends in one of our cosy and inviting bars and restaurants. See jacksonshotel.ie and villarose.ie for full details.
At Ulster Bank, we have now begun to close current and deposit accounts. At this time, if your notice period and your deadline has passed, your account is now queued for closure. You must take action now. If you are still relying on your personal or business bank account and in need of support, please contact us immediately. Visit ulsterbank.ie, your local branch, or call 0818 210 260. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Emma Ryan. Garda are appealing to the public for assistance in tracing the whereabouts of a Ramelton teenager. 17-year-old Aaron Donnelly is missing from Ramelton since last Wednesday, November 23rd. He is described as being 5 foot 9 inches in height, of slim build, with short brown hair and brown eyes. A report with a photograph of Aaron is available on our website at highlandradio.com. A dog expert believes owners need to be more aware of the dangers of leaving a dog with children. It comes as a 9-year-old boy suffered severe injuries in an attack by a pit bull which happened when he was playing football with friends close to his home in Enniscorthy on Sunday. Speaking on today's 9 till noon show, Kathleen Murray, a dog expert, says this was a very serious incident. She says owners need to be more aware of the dangers of leaving dogs with children and what could occur.
There's no dog on this planet that's good with children unless they are either brought up with children or have some experience around children. And even then, even with my own dogs who were doing education in schools where there was children petting them and touching them all the time, even then you would never ever in your wildest dreams leave a dog alone with a child, because you just don't know when an accident is going to happen. You have to be thinking ahead all the time, you know. It's a very serious situation when you've got children and dogs together. They're like magnets to each other. They can overexcite each other. And when a dog could be calm, and then as soon as the dog gets overexcited, that can actually turn into an attack.
Councillor Martin McDermott has told Donegal County Council that it's vital the Council write immediately to senior officials in the Department of Housing, demanding immediate action to help people who must leave their homes. Councillor McDermott said people affected by the defective block crisis must be given some hope over Christmas that they are being heard and supported. Members also stressed the importance of the Council communicating more effectively with the homeowners. Councillor McDermott says people need to be aware of what is going on. Three RNLI lifeboat crews have received an award for rescuing a fishing crew off Fannet Head. The lives of 5 people on board a fishing vessel were saved during the call-out in 2019. Michaela Clark has more.
Lifeboat crews from Lough Swilly and Arnmore, along with Portrush, have been recognised for their efforts in rescuing 5 people during a gruelling 15-hour operation. The lifeboat crews were requested to launch their all-weather lifeboats by Belfast Coast Guard on the afternoon of Saturday, December the 14th, 2019, following a Mayday alert from a 45-foot fishing boat. The 5 men who had been fishing for crab got into difficulty 20 miles north of Fannet Head when their boat lost power in difficult conditions, which saw the sea swell reach 50 feet. The lifeboat crew worked to establish a tow. Armore lifeboat crew undertook the tow and once in calmer waters transferred it to Lough Swilly lifeboat. RNLI Chief Executive Mr Mark Dowie presented Armore coxswain Jimmy Early and Lough Swilly lifeboat operations manager John McCarter with the commendations, while Portrush RNLI lifeboat operations manager Benny McAllister presented the Portrush lifeboat crew.
The draft Letterkenny Town Plan is going out to public consultation, with members of Donegal County Council saying the plan needs to go out in its entirety, warts and all. Officials had sought to remove some areas on the basis that there is a flood risk, but Councillor Jerry McMonigal said he believes the contribution of the general public will be vital in getting a balanced perspective on the issue. Other members agreed, particularly as there is a very real perspective of the plan being extended from a 5-year to a 10-year document. Councillor McMonigal says the discussion has gone on long enough and it is now time for the people to have their say.
We should put it out there, the public consultation, and get the feedback from the public, because what we're hearing and from what talking to the public is the lands that they're talking about restricted from the development due to floods have never flooded in the last 80 years. So it's about hearing all of that and hearing the public's thoughts on it, and that's why I've asked for it to go out to the public, warts and all.
To weather now, today will be generally dry with hazy sunshine, just light breezes. Cool with the highest temperatures of 6 to 9 degrees. That's all for now. We'll be back with a news update again at 11 o'clock. But until then, good morning. Obituary notices for Tuesday morning, November 29th. The death has taken place of Susan Taggart, ní Mimna, of 104 Braden Road, Drumquin. Susan's remains are reposing at her late residence. Her funeral will take place tomorrow at 11 a.m. Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Langfield, Drumquin. Burial afterwards in the adjoining Old Cemetery. House private, please. The death has occurred of Jim Flanagan, Rathmore Terrace, Balleek, County Fermanagh, reposing today at the Wark Hall, Main Street, Balleek, from 6 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. Walk through only, please. Jim's cortege will leave the family home tomorrow morning at 10:15 a.m. via Balleek Pottery and travel up the main street to St Patrick's Church for 11 a.m. Mass of the Resurrection, followed by burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Mass will be streamed on YouTube. At the family's request, you are asked to please avoid handshaking during the repose and funeral. Family home private at all times. The death has taken place of Joe McKelvey, Stralongford, Drumkeen. Joe's remains are reposing at his late residence today from 4 p.m. until 10 p.m. and tomorrow from 10 a.m. until 10 p.m. with rosary both evenings at 9 p.m. Funeral from there on Thursday at 10:15 a.m. going to St Patrick's Church, Drumkeen for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass. Interment afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Oncology Day Services, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. House private on the morning of the funeral, please. The death has occurred of Kathleen Geraldine Curran, 31, Willowbrook, Glencar, Letterkenny. House private, please. Cremation will take place in Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan, tomorrow. The death has taken place of Mary McLaughlin, High Glen, Carrigart. Remains reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow going to the Church of St John the Baptist for Requiem Mass at 1 p.m. with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on the Mava Parish Facebook page. House private, please, on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Mark McDade, Ned, Cherry Avenue, Carndonagh. Mark will repose at his mum and dad's home, Nishi and Bernie Ned's Temple Mall, Culdaff. You may pay your respects today from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. and tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. The death has taken place of James Timoney, Farthings, 31, Melmount Road, Strabane. Reposing at his home today from 12 noon. Funeral leaving his home on Thursday morning at 9:35 a.m. for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 10 a.m. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, from 9 p.m. to 12 noon. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Caitlin Strain, Ballydurrowan, Burnfoot. Removal from her home this morning at 10:15 a.m. to St Angus's Church, Burt, for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by interment in St Mura's Cemetery, Fawn. Caitlin's Requiem Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. And the death has occurred of Danny Wilson, Lustical Carrigans, formerly Craigadoo St Johnson. Funeral from Lustical Carrigans this morning at 10:30 a.m. going to St Baithan's Church, St Johnson for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Friends of Lifford Hospital Fund, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. Good morning if you are just joining us. Stay right where you are. Coming up after the bingo numbers and a quick break, we'll have Community Garda information with Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 29th of November. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S17. It's game number 48. The numbers are 75, 67, 31, 70, 73, 27, 53, 33, 18, and finally 79. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Show your appreciation for Donegal business this Christmas with Buy Donegal. Visit buydonegal.com to see a host of participating businesses to start your shopping list. With a range of special offers and prize giveaways throughout, Buy Donegal has something for everyone. Buy Donegal takes place from November 11th to December 24th. For more, visit buydonegal.com.
It doesn't take a lot to achieve a lot, particularly when it comes to COVID, flu and other winter viruses. Remember to keep doing the simple things, like cleaning hands, wearing masks, opening windows, as well as keeping up to date with your vaccine and boosters, and staying home when sick or displaying symptoms. We know these steps work, and they'll keep working as long as we do them. Let's keep on top of COVID, flu and other winter viruses. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Save hundreds of euros on custom charges when doing your Christmas shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your Christmas parcels and post. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges this Christmas with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Visit Letterkenny Retail Park to get into the Christmas spirit. Pop down this December to take part in our Elf Watch. We'll have tasty festive treats, little helpers giving out festive gifts to shoppers, and an exciting competition to enter. Simply fill out our activity sheet and you'll be in with a chance to win some festive prizes. To get involved in our festive excitement, visit Letterkenny Retail Park on Saturday, December the 3rd and December the 10th from 12 noon to 4 p.m.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91260025.
And you're very welcome back. It is Tuesday morning, the 29th of November, and it's time for Community Garda information. And we're joined in studio today by Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh. Ewan, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Greg. How are things?
Things are going good, thank you. Quite a bit to get through. So, shall we start with a missing persons appeal? Aaron Donnelly.
Yes, Greg. Garda in Milford are appealing to the public for the assistance in tracing the whereabouts of a young 17-year-old man, Aaron Donnelly, who was missing from the Rathmullen area since the 23rd, last Wednesday, the 23rd of November. I'm aware that there was a photograph of Aaron on your Highland Radio Facebook page and also the Garda Síochána Facebook page. And Aaron is described as being 5'9" in height, slim build, short brown hair and brown eyes. So we're appealing for anybody who may have seen this young man to contact Milford Garda Station 07491 53060. That's 9153060. Or again, the confidential line 1800 666 111.
Gardaí in Letterkenny investigating a case of assault and criminal damage.
Yes, this is an unsavoury incident, Greg, which occurred last Friday night, Saturday morning at approximately 12:45 a.m. So around 1:45. A man was chatting to some of his friends outside a house in the Glenard Park area of Letterkenny, up the long lane there, when they were approached by a number of males. The injured party was assaulted by one of these males, and he fled the scene with his friends into a nearby house in the Hazelbrook Crescent. And unfortunately, these young males were followed by the people who had the person who assaulted him and his friends, and they smashed the front window of the house. Fortunately, did not gain entry. The man was injured and received medical treatment for non-life-threatening injuries. So we're appealing to our residents in the Glenard Park and Hazelbrook Crescent area who may have witnessed or heard any of activity to make contact with the Gardaí in Letterkenny. And again, anybody who was passing the area at the time in a car or taxi who has dash cam to make it available to us at Letterkenny 07491 67100, or again the confidential line.
Yeah, and I mean, whether they should or not, some people might, if they have information, not want to get involved in something like this. They might feel that they could be inserting themselves in a situation. If that is a concern, that's exactly why you mentioned the confidential line.
Yes, the confidential line is there. We will treat people in confidence if information is available. And again, people may have been passing, may have heard something and thought nothing of it, but it may be valuable evidence in this investigation, Greg.
All right, a burglary on the Port Road in Letterkenny.
Yes, this is a burglary, Greg, that occurred on a phone shop on the Port Road, just above the station roundabout there, last Tuesday afternoon, the 22nd of November, at approximately 6:50 p.m. So we're aware that damage was caused to the gate and rear window of the property for the culprits to gain access. We have CCTV of the incident, Greg, and we have ascertained that 3 youths in their late teens, we believe, wearing their hoods up, were involved in the break-in. 2 of them waited outside while 1 entered the shop. 2 mobile phones were stolen from the business, a grey Apple iPhone 8 and a blue Samsung A7 I. So again, we appeal for anybody who may have travelled up the Port Road at that time, last Tuesday, the 22nd, at around 6:50 p.m, that I may have seen these 3 youths to make contact with Letterkenny Garda Station 07491 67100, or again the confidential line.
Right, Milford Gardaí are this time investigating criminal damage.
Yes, this is an incident that was occurred in the townland of Golan, Milford, last Thursday, November the 24th, we believe. A number of windows were smashed on a teleporter and a digger at the location. The damage was discovered at 4 p.m. last Thursday, and we believe it occurred at some stage in the previous 24 hours, Greg. The area concerned is quite remote, and there would not be any passing traffic. But we urge anybody who may have information, may have heard something in the community, or perhaps have some information, to contact the Gardaí at Milford 07491 53060.
And staying with your colleagues in Milford, they're investigating a road traffic collision from Wednesday.
Yes, this is a hit and run traffic collision, Greg, which occurred on the Tank Road last Wednesday, the 23rd of November, between 7 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. A white Kia Sportage was parked at the location outside St Mary's Church, and the owner was at Mass, and damage was caused to the panels all along the driver's side of the car while the owner was away. We believe damage was caused by another vehicle, so struck by a vehicle which left the scene. And again, anybody who witnessed what occurred or any information to make themselves available to contact the Gardaí at Milford 07491 53060. So that's last Wednesday, the 23rd, between 7 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. at the Tank Road in Ramelton.
And presumably, there's going to be damage to the other vehicle, maybe some paint transfer, maybe people who work in the body shop industry might have come across.
Exactly, or you may notice that your neighbour's car has been damaged and no explanation for it. So again, if people could come forward, please.
Yeah, because there's someone out there, big time. Right, okay. Now, let's talk about the theft of a car from Garden Court.
We actually have 3 cars stolen in the last week from Letterkenny, Greg. We are making some progress. We're following a line of inquiries in the 3 of them. We believe they may be connected, but we'd like to make appeal to the public in them. The first one is the theft of a white Toyota Wish, parcel reg 07D122, which was stolen from Garden Court Apartments on the Lower Main Street area of Letterkenny last Wednesday, the 23rd of November, approximately 5 p.m. to 6 p.m, and the vehicle was discovered on fire on the Iona Road there, up above the Garda station, at 9:15 p.m. So the car was missing for maybe 4 hours and maybe driven around the town or whatever. So we're appealing to anybody who may have observed any suspicious activity in the area of Garden Court, or believes that they may have seen this car on the roads in Letterkenny, between these times to make contact with us at Letterkenny Garda Station. Again, anybody who lives in travelling or living in there on a road between 9 p.m. and 9:15 p.m. who has dash cam or who saw any suspicious behaviour, do please make contact with us at Letterkenny 074 9167 100.
All right, okay, and that was a Toyota Wish, a silver Toyota Vitz,
Yes,
also stolen?
Yes, last Wednesday again, the 23rd, so a silver Toyota Vitz, partial reg 09W Hotel, stolen from the Glendale Manor area, the Long Lane, Letterkenny, between 8:05 p.m. and 9 p.m. So again, the stolen car was abandoned and discovered last Saturday past at 26 p.m. in a hotel car park on the Ramelton Road out in Ballymaleel there. So we're asking residents in the area, if they remember having seen any suspicious activity on the night in question, to contact us. And again, anybody who believes that they may observe this car on the roads around Letterkenny or anywhere, or captured in dashcam, to come forward and make it available to us. So that's a silver Toyota Vitz 09WH partial reg.
And the third car, a Nissan Note.
Yes, this is a theft of a red Nissan Note, Greg, partial reg 10DL. So this car was stolen from a car park on the Port Road across from the ATU yesterday evening between 5:15 p.m. and 6:45 p.m. The owner went to a local gym and had his car key stolen from the gym, and the car was stolen from the car park. The car was later discovered on fire yesterday evening in the area of Whitethorn Close in the town in Gortlee there. So again, anybody in the area of Whitethorn Close around the time who's dash cam or has seen this car being abandoned or set alight or any sort of suspicious activity, to come forward to make contact with us, please.
Yeah.
And again, anybody who may have seen the car driven around Letterkenny or may have captured it on dash cam yesterday afternoon, to come forward, please.
And as you indicated, progress is being made in that investigation, but any information from the public will assist in
It
that
will,
regard.
yes, it will, Greg.
Right, okay. Christmas shopping season, for some at least, is well and truly underway. People might see more Gardaí around in Letterkenny.
Well, hopefully, yes. We met with myself as Superintendent Finance, met with members from the Chamber and business owners last week, discussed the concerns around, the usual traffic management, security, shoplifting and that kind of stuff. So we will be increasing resources. We will have motorbikes out every day, the weekends in particular, and our dedicated community policing unit will be concentrating on high visibility foot patrols in the area. So already last weekend I've been told that there's been a substantial increase in traffic, and I'm looking through the system there, and I noticed an increase in shoplifting and that kind of activity as well. So we're asking shop owners to talk to their staff, most especially to seasonal part-time staff, make them aware of the security measures that they have in place. And again, if any business owners want to discuss security measures, our crime prevention officer, Paul Wallace, is available to speak to them, and he can be contacted at Letterkenny Garda Station. And again, we had a meeting last week with the 4-lane, the famous, as it's now called, 4-lane, with the engineer there. And
it hasn't been 4 lanes for a while, but I'm joking. But anyway, go ahead.
You're good, Greg. The Chamber businesses and elected reps, and has been a bit of progress there in the last week with the tarring of the road, and if given an undertaking that from now to Christmas, 4 lanes will be open, 2 in and 2 out on a daily basis. I know the optics don't look great there with roadworks and cones and that, but it won't have an impact on 2 lanes in and 2 lanes out, and any work will be done outside the lanes. And again, we're asking drivers to be patient and to follow the rules of the road, not to be parking at disabled bays unless you have a valid permit. Do not be parking on double yellow lines, and do not obstruct traffic or entages. And again, we're asking people to obey the rules of the road in relation to the yellow box at the station roundabout there into Penny's, Tesco, and also the Fort Lynn roundabout, the yellow boxes there.
Yeah, and there's an interesting note here too about roundabouts. Roundabouts are fantastic if they're used correctly, that people are in the right lane and indicate their intentions as well. They know where they're going, but it's really nice if drivers let other drivers know where they intend to go.
Yes, use your indicators. Don't go into the roundabout unless you can get out clear at the other side. And please don't sit in the yellow box. You're holding yourself up, and you're also obstructing other traffic. Again, please drive slowly and with care. Always be on the lookout for pedestrians and cyclists. Look, there will be some traffic delays the next few weeks, Greg's. It's a good sign that people in the town, we want people to come to the town, and we want people to know that Letterkenny is open for business as normal.
Look, I mean, you can't have a successful busy town without traffic. I mean, that's, not in this, maybe in 20 or 30 years, but certainly not now. And of course, too, as well, people will be out buying valuable items. Just to reiterate this information too about, where to park your vehicle. I mean, if you're going to buy something expensive, don't let that be the first thing that you buy, because people can be watching you. Load this into the boot. Yes. They'll follow you to your next destination, distract you and access the boot one way. There could be two people that one might try and distract you, the other get into the boot, simply break into your boot. People are doing the criminals are doing their Christmas shopping as well.
Yes, and for encouraging people to walk to shops, maybe park their car up and walk to all the shopping centres in the town, then you're going to be carrying bags. Please place your valuables in the booted car, not in your back seat or your front seat, where it's going to be seen for these people who will have an opportune moment. And again, if you're buying something extremely valuable, maybe leave that to last before you go home.
Yeah, okay. And someone will end up getting done this way, and we're just trying to get the message out to avoid that. Right, okay. The Garda centenary celebrations, a significant event recently, pretty much the last event of the year, is it?
Well, it was the last event in the Letterkenny district, Greg. We had it last Thursday night, the 24th, in the Mount Derrigal, where we presented centenary medals, coins and certificates to some serving members, our Garda staff. But it was mostly the retired members from Letterkenny who met up for the night. Over 200 people attended, and it was a great night. Went very well. The room looked lovely.
No aggro.
No aggro, no. I would just like to acknowledge the event was organised by Garda Maeve Sweeney and Garda Anne McGrath, who had the room looking lovely and organised how certificates and coins and medals were presented. We also had some family members of deceased members who died while in service, and they all attended.
That's a hugely important moment for them, I would say, that their loved ones are recognised.
It is, yes. We had the family of the late John Clark, who died in service in Ballybofey. Noreen Doherty, a valued Garda staff member from the town. She actually has a sister serving in the Guards in Mucrana. Of course, Garda Robbie McCallion, who paid the ultimate sacrifice for his service, and Detective Garda Rosemary Rooney, who only died a month ago, and her parents were there, so we had a great night.
Okay. Listen, thanks very much for that, Ewan.
Greg, thank you.
That is Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh. That was the Community Garda information item for this Tuesday, the 29th of November. It'll be available for you to watch back on our Facebook and the Garda Síochána Facebook page a little later on. And we'll be back live with another item for you next Tuesday, just after the 10 o'clock news.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your Ulster Bank loan or overdraft? We are now offering competitive low-rate switcher loans and MyCU current account with overdraft.
Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Steve.
And we're the Happy Pair. Did you know if it says the Happy Pair on it, you can be sure
it's healthy, plant-based, made using the best locally sourced ingredients and sustainable.
And we are award-winning too, so you know it's worth it.
You'll find us in your local Centra and SuperValue.
The Happy Pair. Eat well, feel good, live better.
Highland Radio are on the road in 2023. Join us for our trip to Dublin on Thursday the 23rd of February to see the 25th anniversary show of Michael Flatley's Lord of the Dance. This show has amazed audiences across the globe with its fusion of high energy, Irish dancing, original music and storytelling. Sit back and relax as we take care of everything.
Your trip includes luxury transfers to and from Dublin, staying at the 4-star Clayton Hotel in Dublin, including breakfast and your ticket to the show. Call us today on 074 9125,000 for more information.
Homeowners, if you've not already set up a phased payment arrangement for local property tax, you can do so now. You need to confirm your preferred payment option by December 2nd to ensure it is in place for the start of next year. The easiest way to do this is online at revenue.ie using either the LPT portal or My Account.
At Irish Life Health, our benefit plan helps you embrace a healthier lifestyle. Get up to €250 back on a mix of benefits like fitness wearables, dietitians and sports clubs like your local GAA club. It's health insurance, but not as you know it. Search Irish Life Health.
Irish Life Health Act is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Terms and conditions apply. Call us to see exactly what's covered.
At Very, it's easy to share the love this Christmas. We've got the brands they want, the best gifts for every budget, plus free click and collect on most small items. Which means all your shopping's sorted. And a very Merry Christmas to you. Shop Christmas at very.ie.
Celebrating the 25th anniversary of the first Joe Dolan Bundoran Music Festival, a spectacular Christmas party night at the Allingham Arms Hotel on Friday, December the 16th, with the sensational Joe Dolan Show, Remembering Joe, featuring 5 vocalists with the Dolan family and the original Joe Dolan Band, cabaret, dinner and accommodation if required. Now booking at the Allingham Arms or online at showtours.ie. Revive the 90s in Bundoran on December the 16th at the Allingham.
Hello, Farmer Tinny here. Tinny's Toys are now open 7 days a week. New stock arriving weekly. Our Christmas Club is now open. Check out our entire range online at tinnystoys.com, where we offer free shipping on orders over €75. Buy now, pay later with Klarna. No extra charges. Tinny's Toys, Ireland's largest farm toy superstore. Down by.
Okay, Nicola joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you. Thanks for taking the call.
Hello.
We were speaking a little earlier on about this new scheme coming in February 2024, where people will be able to get 15 cents for a can, 25 cents for a plastic bottle. On the face of it, do you agree with it, Nicola?
Well, yes.
But what concerns do you have?
Let's say... I have experience from Croatia where this started 2006. They announced it 1.5, 2 years, same like here, up front, and it was a lot of stockpile at home and backyards, and it was a lot of misleading information.
Oh, that's quite interesting. So what would happen here if it were the same as Croatia? Now, instead of recycling the cans and bottles, people would start storing them with a view to cashing in then in February of 2024.
Yes.
And what problems did it cause, Nicola?
Big logistic problem for everyone, from big shops, from small shops, for everyone. Nobody was prepared for this amount of business.
And you know of one shop owner, he had to hire people in specifically to deal with this backlog, I suppose you could call it.
Yeah, all the shop need to take extra people for dealing with that.
Oh, okay. I never even thought of that. And Nicola, did the public buy into it in the years that followed? I'm not sure when you moved from Croatia to Ireland, but were you there long enough to know then how it started to work out in the long term for Croatia?
Oh, I moved here before 7.5 years. Yes, it was okay, but just first 3-4 months, first year was totally disaster when this started.
So we then here in Ireland now, Nicola, we can learn from the Croatian teething mistakes then.
Yeah, I hope just that if big shops like Lidl, Aldi, Tesco, Dans, if they will be prepared logistically and with machines, it will be much easier. Because when that 2006 when started this there, it was not machines. Everything was counted manually, and it was just disaster.
Sounds like a nightmare. And also, too, I think we'll try and get some clarification on this, Nicola, as well, because what you might find is even charities might start gathering this stuff with, as part of a fundraiser, but we don't want them wasting their time either. So we'll need to check if, if stuff that's gathered up now would be accepted in February of 2024, because firstly, it'll make a mess in their homes and businesses, but also people could be wasting their time if they can't get refunds on these products.
Yeah. Let's say in Croatia, they start first few months, they accept everything without RQ code, without this recycling mark on bottles. They accept everything, and they give notice correct date when they stop accepting everything. Then they just pass on something like RQ codes.
And did you engage in it much, like Nicola? Were you able to get money off your shopping or anyone close to you? I mean, is that how it's viewed, that people will put the plastic in, put the cans in, and put that money against their shopping? Is that how it ended up being adopted?
Yes. Let's say first, everybody feel this on prices, because first prices went up for these bottles. And then they limited in stores. Every person can return only 10 plastic or cans, And then some shops accept return unlimited amount, but they accept only that money is spent in this shop. They didn't directly refund.
All right, okay. Fascinating insight to from a country that's not far off 20 years into this process. Nicola, lovely to speak to you. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
Take care of yourself. Have a lovely day. 086 60 25,000. Councillor Michael McClafferty in favour of this initiative.
Morning, Greg. Morning. Yes, 100%, Greg. I think it's a great initiative altogether. I mean, at the end of the day, Greg, when you think you're like myself, and yourself spoke about one morning there a couple of years ago, you're called, it's back to when we were young ourselves, as we touched on there this morning, the 70s and 80s, where you got 10 pence for living back to Lucas 8 bottles.
One second, Councillor. Through the chair, I was collecting nothing in the 70s. Whatever about you.
I'm not assisting that you, I'm not saying that you were, but I'm saying it was around that era, Greg.
Okay, sorry to digress, but slow down here. No, you're right though. Bottle collection and returns was the thing that and I think that the retailer representative pointed out. We don't want this either to disadvantage small business. Do you know what I mean? Whereas your big multinationals, they can afford these machines, but your local, the really important local store in a local community, and we've seen how important these facilities are. There's a big outlay potentially for them to have the automated machines, so we do have to look at that, don't we?
Oh, well, definitely so, Greg, and hopefully going forward, and I suppose like myself and other councillors, no doubt, will be looking into this going forward, how we can progress the situation as well, to have a public machine out in the street like your bottle bank and so on, so that it's not totally identified then to either a big business or a big shop or whatever that obviously pushes the smaller guys out. Like, we need to have a fair playing field for everybody, and I would say going forward the only way we can really do that in our towns and villages is to have a public one at a designated point, so it's fair then to everybody. I would say that's the only way to have a fair going forward, Greg, because your speaker Vincent there spoke about this morning about 100,000 apparently to buy one of these machines. It's a lot of money, obviously, but again, for the bigger stores, they will comfortably bring that back in a short period of time due to the volume of customers going through their shops. And as you rightly point out yourself, Greg, the smaller retailers will struggle with this one.
And look, it is about recycling, okay, and encouraging us to cycle, but it is kind of like a stealth tax because, we might think that we're returning these items and then we're getting money off our shopping, but in reality, we'll have already been charged this extra money, so we're only recouping money that we've already put out. So, let's be clear, this is not really to save us any money at the till. It would have been nice maybe if this charge wasn't included in the initial sort of year or two on these items, so that we actually were making a saving in recycling them. Does that make sense? It's a bit of a complicated way of putting it, but we're only really going to be recouping the money we've already laid out, and then we're going to say, oh, it's come off our shopping. No, it hasn't, because you spent it in your previous shop.
You have spent it, all right, Greg. You're right what you're saying and the point you're making there. I understand what you're saying, but I also think on the greater point as well, for the environment, for everything else, it's going to be a saver, because whether people realise it or not, with the amount of dumping and everything else going on through the countryside, the general Joe Soap's been asked to pay for it anyway through taxation and so on, because it's driving on. The money has to be found somewhere. Like, to be fair, as you know yourself, it has to be found.
Yeah.
The environment has to be looked after. The boy going out, the rubbish people going out, the county councillors going out, or the council workers going out tidying up the rubbish. And just to point out again quickly, I've seen yet again some rubbish dumped in Fulcar this week that are aired onto the litter ward in there again. It's uncalled for. Like, there is recycling places, there is skips and so on.
Do you know what's going to be?
Plenty of pressure.
Yeah, there is, but we'll see if this changes people's attitude. And do you know what's going to be really quite interesting for us here in Donegal? I think particularly at the end of summer, February 2024, when we talk to our fantastic volunteers that go out collecting rubbish on the sides of the roads and the tidy towns people. They're amazing what they do. You see them on the way to work. They're out for nothing, just for the love of their own community, out collecting stuff early hours in the morning. It'll be interesting to see if this impacts how much rubbish the likes of cans and bottles are on the sides of the roads, because that will give us some indication as well to where these bottles and cans are coming from, because if they're from the Republic, and I'm not saying they're coming from the north, but if they are from the Republic, they'll have a particular they'll have an identifier on them. So it'll be interesting from a border county perspective. We'll get a real insight into who are the litterers. And as I say, I'm not pointing fingers in any direction here, by the way. I don't want to cause any aggro. That's not my point. But I think we'll have a few interesting interviews with Tidy Towns committees post-summer 2024 to see what impact, if any, this has made.
Well, I think we will, Greg, to be fair, and I think it'll be very good, to be fair, to when those interviews come up. But I think on the bigger picture as well, as I mentioned to Caroline there this morning before we got on there, I think for kids and that as well, as you touched on yourself, the schools, the community groups and so on, it's going to be a great incentive for those people as well, those children in that in particular, to make it a point to gather up these cans, bottles and so on, etc. that can be redeemable, and it will be a big help to everybody on that. But you're right, it's going to bring its own challenge then, of course, where the pinpoint is then, definitely so.
Okay. Listen, take care of yourself, Councillor. Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Michael McClafferty. We're going to be speaking to a lady who is hiking around the British and Irish coastlines for the RNLI. That's after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
All ready for next year? We are, with our award-winning Seat SUVs, the bold crossover Arona, the family favourite Ateca, and the spacious 7-seater Tarraco. All ready with great PCP finance offers and a service plan for just $9.99 a month. Available to order at DMG Motors, Claw Road, Donegal Town. Book a test drive today. Visit seat.ie to find your 231 SUV. Finance provided by Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland, trading as Seat Financial Services. Subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply. Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland Limited, trading as Seat Financial Services, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Join Kevin Dundon for a Christmas cooking experience on Thursday, 1st of December at the Mulroy Woods Hotel Milford, with mulled wine reception and cannabis. Tickets are priced at €35 and are available from the hotel reception. Proceeds in aid of the Creasla Community Support Fund.
Don't just do okay in your career. Do great at Allstate. Don't settle. Soar. Don't procrastinate. Innovate. Don't do mediocre. Do magnificent. At Allstate. Great work. Great life. Great people. Where great opportunities await. Search Allstate NI Careers today.
The Lidl elves are mad busy sorting Christmas for less. Why not try our delicious chicken skewers for an incredible $2.69? Or our flavoured deluxe mince pies, only $2.79. And our deluxe award-winning rich cut crisps, just $1.79. Fair play, elves. Do Christmas without compromise at Lidl. More for everyone this Christmas.
Dad, I've been thinking, you're not getting any younger.
Well, I hate to disappoint you, son, but neither are you.
You're in good health now for an old fella. But seriously, Dad, if you took a turn someday or something changed, I'd like to make sure you'd be looked after the way you'd want to be, and your doctors knowing your wishes too. Irish Hospice Foundation have this really useful guide, Think Ahead, to make your wishes known on how you'd like to be cared for at the end of your life.
Well, that might be just one of your better ideas, son. I'll do that.
To get your Think Ahead pack, call Irish Hospice Foundation on 01679 3188 or visit thinkahead.ie. Think Ahead today for peace of mind tomorrow.
Calling all past and present members, Letterkenny Athletic Club are celebrating 50 years of success on Saturday 10th of December in the Radisson Blue Hotel, Letterkenny. Join us for a great night of memories with a drinks reception at 6:30, followed by dinner and dancing. Tickets available on the club webpage, or contact Herbie McDade or Danny McDade.
Okay, good morning, Tracy. How are you getting on?
Good morning, how are you? I've been practicing it. Dumma Fanny, at the Creasla, Dumma Fanahay.
It was better the second time. I'm not going to lie to you, Tracy. The first time it was a bit dodgy. Come here.
Can you say it for me? I'm from Somerset.
Come here. I've been contacted by lots of people who are following your journey on social media. They're saying you have to get this lady on. Now, as it turned out, we'd already invited you on, so it's all good. So tell me, why are you hiking around these islands for the RNLI? Why is it's a huge undertaking, and it's also a really important cause, of course.
It's been amazing. So due to losing my job at the RSPCA due to COVID, couldn't go to America and see my grandkids due to COVID, split it with my partner who I was living with due to COVID. I found myself at 53 with no home, no partner, no job, and no ability to go see my son and daughter and my grandchildren in America. So I gave a bit of my redundancy to my daughter in Sheffield, bought a big Agnes tent, and not knowing there would be 10,000 people following my journey, I thought this tent's going to be my friend and my home for the next 3 years, and nobody definitely wants to be called Big Agnes, so I called her Aggie. And I've done about 6,700 miles. I just did Orkney and Shetland, just finished the Isle of Man, where I then flew across to Belfast, and I can't even tell you the funny things that have happened since I got into Ireland recently.
Well, we might get an example of that, Tracy. But this sounds like, because you've been through it, it's tough. You've had a tough couple of years. This is for the RNLI, but it's a bit also for you, Tracy, is it?
It is for me and for them. They've got my back the whole way. I stop at all the lifeboat stations, and if anyone wants to send me a package, it goes to the lifeboat station. And they're along the way, and I know that if I get into trouble, they're there for me. And I knew it was either sink or swim at that point, because I needed to go to my happy place, and my happy place was the sea. And it's been healing. I've written over 150 poems. I've done a calendar this year, and proceeds will be a little bit for me and then the RNLI, so that I can carry on. And I printed 50, and they've all sold already. And just people inspire me, but people say I inspire them. But I mean, just yesterday I was in a little cafe in Creesler, and they'd been through so much there recently. And I talked to a little girl called Carla, and and it was just a lovely conversation. And then I walked by the little school there, and I saw these girls playing, and they were staring at my little rainbow skirt and my big backpack, and chatted to them and said, if anyone says, you're a girl, you can't do something, stamp your feet and say, yes, I can. Well, the mother, Jade, got a hold of me and told me her little girl, Sophia, went home last night and talked about me. And it's just lovely. And just being in Ireland is just incredible. It's the most healing. People are everywhere you go. It's like going to a cafe or pub, and it's like walking in your grandma's living room. Smell of food and laughter and happiness, and you're never a stranger. And I actually wrote a poem called that you're never a stranger, because you just don't feel like a stranger, honestly. It's been heartwarming. It's
kind of like a story of human contact too, isn't it? I mean, simple but important human contact with other strangers. Something, sadly, I think we're forgetting or losing, or we're so divided, I don't know, but it's just such a simple story you relate, but it's so nice.
I sort of describe it, sorry to interrupt you, but I don't think people in Ireland or the British, none of us in the UK and Ireland like being told what to do. We're very proud. And to be told for that long time that we couldn't hold people, and we couldn't see people, and we couldn't stand next to people, and and hug people and join together and have food together, and all the things that I think a lot of us took for granted. And now since COVID, it's like, wait a minute, don't you tell us that we can't do this or we can't do that. And you want to do it. And I'd love to tell you an example about this poor landlord in a pub in Greencastle. Am I allowed to tell you the story?
Yeah, well, as long as, because there's not an awful lot of pub landlords in Greencastle, so if it's not too personal to his circumstance, go ahead.
No, he doesn't mind, honestly. So there's a pub there called Michael John's, and he's been away in Thailand and Australia, and he's got a lovely porch on the back that's got an awning over the top. And there were two cars in the driveway, one with a flat tire and one with a bit of moss on it. And I thought, well, nobody's been in here for a while. So I put my tent on his porch. And the next morning, 4 generations have owned the pub. And believe it or not, he'd been gone for 9 months, and he had gotten back that night, opened his front door to see the sunset, to see the sunrise. And he said, 4 generations we've owned this pub, and Christmas has come early because I've got a blonde in a tent on my porch.
You don't wake up to that every day.
I know, and he must have been so shell-shocked because he said, come on in and have a coffee and I'll make you some beans on toast. And within a few minutes, I was feeling 7 years old because he'd opened the wrong can without realising. And I was eating SpaghettiOs on toast, which I haven't had since I was 7 years old. It was lovely, and he was a good sport. So, yeah, it's fantastic. And then another landlord in the Orchard Inn. I arrived after walking 13 miles. He made me a fish finger sandwich, Darren McLaughlin, and then he let me sleep on the smoking porch in my tent. So, honestly, everybody's incredible.
So you've had alphabet spaghetti and fish fingers sandwiches so far. We're going to have to up our game a bit. It's lovely, but come on.
And then I'm sorry, I'm interrupting because I'm so excited. So I went to the Boardwalk place, the Boardwalk Resort, and I said, excuse me, have you got a spot of grass? And Aunt Louise said, bloody grass, I'll give you a house. So she put me in house number 2. And before I knew it, I was being evicted because there was no heat in house number 2. So her and her husband, George, said, really sorry to offer you this house, instead of a patch of grass, but we're going to have to evict you. We'll have to put you in house number 1. So I got a big house to myself. Honestly, it's just been unbelievable. And as I said, the RNLI guys, the next ones are in Bundoran. So I'll be meeting up with them, yeah.
Shane Smith and the crew down there, they do amazing work. Because the people that you're mentioning and the people that you're visiting, Tracy, we I mean, as you know, we're a coastal county, largest coast in Ireland. We are people of the sea and also the inland waterways. And these people, the RNLI, do amazing work. The Bundoran crew often tasked and saving lives at sea all the time and around the coast. You know what I mean? So the RNLI is something that's all of our rescue services here that deal with the mountains and the sea are all very close to our hearts as well, as you can imagine.
And just each village is just in town is amazing. I got to speak to some school kids in I can't remember. I've been to so many places. And a lady that owns the Harbour Inn in that town, she said, you're not sleeping in a tent. And Kathleen, she put me in a tent for in a room for a couple of nights because I got to go to the college and talk to the school kids about my journey. And they were slapping me high five as they were going out. And honestly, it's just, everybody's just so welcoming. And I really just appreciate it so much.
It's only a couple of days
ago.
Said,
where are you going to be for Christmas?
Yeah,
I said I'll be where I'm meant to be.
Exactly. What a beautiful attitude. I just want to mention too, just as a reminder, it's only a couple of days ago, very close to where you were. Did you go through Downings or you were Creaslot Dunfanny? I'm not sure if you mentioned you went through Downings, but we were speaking to the Sheep Haven Sub-Aqua Club, who do amazing work in that area. They're effectively first responders in the event of someone becoming in difficulty at sea. Recently, they applied for the local county council, Donegal County Council, for €25,000 to get new equipment, that type of stuff, so they can safely do the work. Unfortunately, that was rejected. Now their fundraising drive continues, but the reason I'm saying this, Tracy, is that these are the challenges that organisations in the business of saving other people's lives face on a daily basis. And I'm presuming there's been a huge outpouring of generosity from the local community. But it is the likes of yourself and others that have to, unfortunately, do what you do to keep these amazing organisations going. So, come here. You are now making...
I met one of the fundraisers, Owen, from that.
Yes.
In the Huckleberry Cafe, because I went to pay for my breakfast. And he's a big fundraiser. I think his name's Owen. He works at a local care place. And he paid for my breakfast. And he was telling me about exactly what you're talking about the fundraising. And so I camped out near the beach last night in that place that you said I said wrong.
Dunfanny, I didn't. I just was amused at the way you broke the word up. Let me put it like that.
I popped into Patsy and Dan's last night and got to meet lots of people and see the music because I knew I was going to put my tent up, so I put it in the dark. And as I was walking out the door, guess what? All the musicians were playing. I could walk 500 miles. As I'm going out the door with my backpack, they were playing it. So hats off to them.
So you're making your way down the west coast, across the south coast, then up the east coast back to Belfast. Is that your journey, Tracy, from here?
Exactly, yes. Yeah, that's exactly. And I'm excited to go to Galway and to Cork. And somebody that owns Carberry Lodge in Cork, 2020, sent me a message. When you get to Cork, you can have a few nights in Carberry Guest Lodge. Beautiful. And I thought, I don't know where that is or whatever. And they messaged me recently and said, don't forget. And that was ages ago when they told me, and I never even imagined I'd be this far on my journey.
Excellent.
It's amazing.
And we're getting messages in from just little random encounters people have had with you, saying that you're a lovely lady and wishing you all the best. If people want to track your and Aggie's, we could do a full hour on Aggie, I'd imagine. But if people want to track your and Aggie's trip around our beautiful coastline, and it is beautiful, you're on social media, of course, Tracy, and doing regular updates and all that type of stuff. And then people can find out too how they can support the RNLI through you.
Yeah, it's Walk With Me, Tracy and Aggie's epic hike around the UK coastline. And there is a Just Giving page. And I've got to tell you, as I was in the pub last night, it shocked me. So the Isle of Man said I did more for their tourist bureau than the tourist bureau. And I got a tattoo with the Isle of Man thing on it. And I got a message last night, and I was sitting in the pub, and I almost jumped out my seat. Somebody on the Isle of Man said, I was so sorry I didn't meet you. And he donated, or he donated £3,000 to my Just Giving page.
Oh, wow. That's lovely.
I know. I was so shocked, and I told my people on my blog, if everybody gives £1, that's 10,000 more pounds by Christmas. So
Brilliant.
yeah,
okay,
amazing.
And people will. Tracy, I'm delighted to hear your story. I'm delighted with everything you've gone through, that it's happening to you, and you're getting so much from it. And if you need your faith in humanity restored, I think it's been fully restored at this point, and will continue to be so. And I wish you nothing but health and happiness, not only for the rest of this journey, but for the rest of your life as well, Tracy.
Thank you. And let's catch up when I finish, and I can tell you some more stories when I finish completely by February or March.
For sure. And let's do it off air as well and get the gossip then, get the juicy stuff we can't say on the radio.
Absolutely. Let's
Tracy.
do it.
Listen, have a
you
lovely...
Buy me a coffee, eh? I'll need one.
No bother. I'll be fighting the landlord up in the that found a blonde on his porch for a coffee date, maybe. Come here. Tracy,
that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Thank you very much indeed.
So
Take
much.
care of yourself. All right, bye-bye.
Okay,
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
At Ulster Bank, we have now begun to close current and deposit accounts. At this time, if your notice period and your deadline has passed, your account is now queued for closure. You must take action now. If you are still relying on your personal or business bank account and in need of support, please contact us immediately. Visit ulsterbank.ie, your local branch, or call 0818 210 260. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. New for Christmas. Check out the O'Neill's Donegal Peak range for all the family. Lightweight padded jackets matched up with quarter zips and tees. Donegal training jersey for kids and adults from only €35. Save €10. New range of Donegal hats and accessories for that ideal Christmas gift. Give the gift of sport this Christmas. In store and online at bmcsports.ie.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €85 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Don't miss a night of the Country Stars live in concert on Monday the 5th of December in the Mount Terrigal Hotel, Letterkenny, featuring Jimmy Buckley, Brendan Shine, Patrick Finney, Olivia Douglas, Declan Nerney and your host and compere David James. Tickets now on sale from hotel reception and online at Eventbrite. That's Monday the 5th of December at the Mount Terrigal Hotel.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Coming up after the 11 o'clock news, we have in studio with us Tommy Fleming from Sligo, of course. He's a regular enough guest here on Highland Radio and on this programme. And we're going to be chatting about his tour at the moment. And he's going to be singing for us as well. And he's got an amazing voice. So stay tuned for that. If you want to watch Tommy, hop on our website, highlandradio.com, or YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, or our Facebook pages. Also, it's coming close to the end. It's the last call, in fact, for us to bring a family home for Christmas, or someone home to Donegal for Christmas. So you really need to get your shout in today. So if you are abroad and for one reason or another you decided you just couldn't make it home for Christmas this year, well, email homeforchristmas@highlandradio.com. Tell us why and send us your details and we'll get in touch with you. If you're listening to us in the Northwest and you want to bring someone home for Christmas, give us your details, their details, why you want them home for Christmas, and email homeforchristmas@highlandradio.com. And the call is closing today. I think it is today, isn't it? And we'll be making a decision, and then we have the logistics to go through. And we want to make this Christmas extra special for one of our listeners, be they at home, reuniting them with someone from abroad, or if they're abroad, bringing them home.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock on the button. Time to get a news update, and we say a very good morning once again to Emma Ryan.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Garda are appealing to the public for assistance in tracing the whereabouts of a Ramelton teenager. 17-year-old Aaron Donnelly has been missing since last Wednesday. He is described as being 5'9" in height, of slim build with short brown hair and brown eyes. A report with a photograph of Aaron is available on our website at highlandradio.com. Garda are appealing for information after a man was assaulted and windows subsequently smashed at a house in Letterkenny. At approximately 12:45 a.m. on Saturday morning, a male was chatting to his friends at Glenard Park in the Long Lane when he was approached by a group of males. He was assaulted by one of the males and fled to a house in Hazelbrook Crescent, but the males followed him and smashed the front windows of said house. Speaking on today's 9 to noon show, Garda Sergeant Ewan Walsh appealed for anyone with information to come forward. A dog expert believes owners need to be more aware of the dangers of leaving a dog with children. It comes as a 9-year-old boy suffered severe injuries in an attack by a pit bull, which happened when he was playing football with his friends close to his home in Enniscorthy on Sunday. Speaking on today's 9 to noon show, Kathleen Murray, a dog expert, says this was a very serious incident. She says owners need to be more aware of the dangers of leaving dogs with children and what could occur. The proportion of people in England and Wales who describe themselves as Christian has fallen below half for the first time. The Office of National Statistics also says those identifying as white has fallen by about 500,000 in a decade. The second most common ethnic group was Asian, Asian British or Asian Welsh. It's hoped a new opt-out system for organ donations will reduce waiting lists and save more lives. Under the new Human Tissue Bill, consent will be assumed for organ removal unless stated otherwise. The regulation will also include protocols for post-mortem examinations. And finally, Councillor Martin McDermott has told Donegal County Council it is vital the council write immediately to senior officials in the housing department demanding immediate action to help people who must leave their homes. Councillor McDermott said people affected by the defective block crisis must be given some hope over Christmas that they are being heard and supported. Members also stressed the importance of the council communicating more effectively with homeowners. That's all for now. We'll have a news update again at 12 o'clock.
Thank you very much indeed, Emma. A caller says, hi, I'd like to say a big thank you to Highland Radio for all the help you gave us in regards getting our street light fixed. Contacted your station on Wednesday or Thursday and our lights were fixed on Friday last. So a big thank you from Monfad, Newtown, Cunningham. Delighted we were able to offer any assistance there. Morning, I've been to Australia 10 years ago. They had take your bottle back to the shop and get back 10 cents. Seeing people over there at the airport, big bags collect tins and bottles out of bins. They would have made big money. Why are they waiting until 2024 to bring it out that long time away? They've then made them no use them. Don't walk. Okay, listen, thanks Primrose for that. I see your point. Well, I presume there's logistics, and thank you to some businesses that were in contact with us, with me actually here on social media. Chief among them, can't open messages now, here you are. Chief among them, the health shop, Karen Dunner. And they point out the small shops won't need an RMV. They'll be supplied with bags which will be collected twice a week. And also, just to Nicola's point, you can't save up old bottles. They'll need to have the return logo printed in the label. So unfortunately, in terms of hoarding, that is not going to be a thing. So small shops will have bags delivered to them and then collected from them. So that makes them maybe able to be involved in the whole situation. And as I suspected, bottles going forward will have a return item on them, and it is they that people can get the refund on. And I presume, particularly because we're in Ireland and counties like Donegal are so close to the border, the government won't want to find themselves paying out more money than they have coming in. Asked Councillor McClafferty, would any word of the bottle banks coming back to Falcara? I think there's a couple of local reps working on that. I saw Tracy in Coonarie on Sunday. Lovely lady. She's a lovely photo of my house on Facebook. I live in Drumlacca, beside Lacca Bridge. Wish her all the best. Okay, thank you for that. Please, can you say happy anniversary to Paddy Joe and Myra O'Donnell in Kincastle? They're married. Were married on the 28th of November 1962 in Kilcar, and so celebrate 60 years of wedded bliss today. Lots of love from your goddaughter Helena. Congratulations, Paddy Joe and Myra. Greg, I seen an article over the weekend. 334 million is the figure circulating on the cost that hotels are being paid for accommodation for Ukrainians. I understand we need to help, but if you look around in Ishone, some of the houses are in such bad state. Our people need the help of the government. This is going on over 10 years. The government are a disgrace, they believe. More needs to be done now. And listen, I get what you're saying about the amount of money being spent, and we've discussed it on this programme about how people were offering their homes to people and they weren't even called back by the Red Cross, yet money was found to throw it at these hotels, and I get that. But let's make no mistake, there is not a pot of money of 334 million euro, and that money is being taken out of that pot and spent to house refugees and not on the people of Inishowen. Those particularly affected. The only thing that is stopping, particularly the 10 homeowners who are living in completely unsafe conditions, the only thing that's stopping them being helped, it's not money, it's a will, it's a desire. It is the powers that be, those who make these decisions, saying what's happening to those people is unacceptable. It cannot be allowed happen. We are going to do something. That's what's missing. People clearly do not care about the plight of these homeowners in Donegal. It's nothing to do with money. It's nothing to do with refugees. Someone who makes these decisions does not think that they are important enough. They don't believe that the €15,000 that's been allocated should be brought forward as quickly as possible to help people. Someone has made that decision. It doesn't matter. They'll be okay. So I fully understand what you're saying. There's a bit of conflation there. No money's being taken away from the people of affected by defective concrete. The will is there to help others, but it's not there to help these people. And that's what it comes down to. It is a human decision, not a financial one. It's budgeted, it's there, but someone doesn't want to release it for some reason. And when you get to that answer, I think we'll sort of start getting a real insight into the foot dragging that is ongoing. A caller says the Donegal County Council are a crowd of bluffers. No actions behind their words or motions. Absolutely disgraceful. We have to protest once more. I mean, councillors, I've said it on this programme, look, motions are, what are they? They don't have to be acted on. You know, so you could pass a motion saying everyone in Donegal should be given €1 million, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they don't have to be acted on. The executive then make an executive decision on what to move forward on. I mean, basically, that's what it is. That being said, you know, there's plenty of 37, 38-seater buses that might be available to take councillors down to the Dáil to stand outside and say, look, we are elected and represent the people of Donegal. We're not shifting until you do something for them. I don't think it's ever happened before. I don't think the media could ignore it, and I don't think the government could ignore it. So whilst motions are grand, you know, something could be done that would at the very least blow up national news headlines. Can you imagine an entire local authority, cross-party, landing outside the Dáil saying enough is enough, do something for our citizens? It couldn't be ignored. It could not be ignored. But would it happen?
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
When family and friends come through the door, give them Aldi treats that they'll adore. Danish butter cookies just $2.79. Must-have Tato party boxes only $4.50. The 10.79 Project Pilsner $1.29. And Celebrations Roses, Cadbury's Heroes and Quality Street chocolate tubs in store now. They're all worth celebrating, really. Aldi. Make Christmas amazing for everyone. Get the facts, be drink aware, visit drinkaware.ie.
Wetsuit on and underwater by you.
Aprons on, breakfast orders in, conversation flowing, loving every second.
Every day is different. There's always new faces. It really suits me.
It fits my schedule. I can see friends, do my yoga, balance work with life and enjoy both.
My career in tourism works for me.
And mine works for me.
Get a career in tourism that works for you. Visit tourismcareers.ie.
Hello there. Christmas is the perfect time for saying thank you. And what better way than to give a Harvey's Point gift card. Available from the hotel on 07497 22208 or from harveyspoint.com. It's the gift that keeps on giving all year round. A Harvey's Point gift card.
Highland Radio have done it again! Buy a ticket to win a car valued at €30,000 before Friday, December the 2nd. And you...
Who, me?
Yes, you will have 3 chances to win €1,000. These draws before the big draw will take place at 11:30, 1:30 and 3:30 on Friday, December the 2nd, live on Highland Radio. Yes, it's that simple. Get your Christmas off to a flyer. Go to highlandradio.com, click on the car link, purchase a ticket, answer a simple question, and we could be ringing you and helping make this Christmas stupendous.
Get back on the road.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Well, as you've been hearing on the news, new legislation will see an opt-out system introduced for organ donation under plans being brought to Cabinet by Health Minister Stephen Donnelly. Consent for organ donation will be assumed unless someone has opted out while alive. That being said, though, next of kin will still be consulted and will be able to object to the removal of an organ. So really what remains the same is that if you intend to give your organs, donate your organs, you have to have that conversation with your family, because even though new legislation is coming in, those conversations still have had to be had. It's really important. And also, too, we have to ensure that hospitals have teams there at our hospitals to ensure that that whole process can be gone through as well. Lisa joins me on the programme now. Lisa, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
You have been through a kidney transplant. You received it from your brother in May of 2015, isn't that right?
I did, yeah.
Okay. What is your view on this new legislation?
Yeah, I would definitely be for it, Greg, because, look, it's a situation, like if you, unfortunately, you would be in a situation where you probably have lost a loved one and they can give life to somebody else, but it's not something that you're really prepared to think about in that situation if it's not already something that's there and in place, that it's opt-out rather than opt-in.
Do you think that this new approach that we're taking to it might make us more inclined to talk about it? Because I think that's what a big part of the problem here, Lisa, is that even if people get organ donation cards or what other methods that they declare their will, they're maybe not having the conversation with those close to them. So I wonder if it's an opt-out situation that we're more likely to have this conversation, this important conversation.
Yeah, I'd say families, like even in the office here this morning, just before we came on, I was speaking to a few in the office and they said, yes, definitely if something happened to them, that they would, of course, want their organs to be donated. But then I asked them as well, have you ever had the conversation with anybody in the house? And they've said no, because it's not really a conversation that you do bring up. But if it's in the news or if it's brought to light, maybe people would talk about it more.
Yeah, because we don't want to talk about our funeral arrangements. We don't want to talk about making a will. And we don't want to talk about organ donations, because that involves the thing a lot of people are not too happy about, and that's the fact of, our mortality, And I think, too, you have to have the conversation at an early stage if possible as well, Lisa, because Sadly, it might be people that die suddenly in their 20s or 30s or whatever age it might be, who a loved one could find themselves faced with those questions in a hospital.
Yeah, it would be a very difficult situation to be in. I know myself personally, I didn't even know what dialysis was before my kidneys failed. And it's not a conversation that I had with my husband. We were a young, healthy couple with 2 healthy children at home and expecting another baby. It's just not something that came into our thoughts, so it's not. And I suppose it's bringing awareness to it, and if it does bring people to think about it and talk about it, it's a good thing.
Yeah, yours is a classic example of it, Lisa, isn't it? And it's like all of us, not many of us, I should say, these conversations don't even register. And then next thing you know, you found yourself as that person on dialysis, pregnant, needing a transplant.
Yeah, that's right. And then I suppose it's a completely different situation if you do lose somebody in an accident or, tragic. Everything's happening so fast, and grief's such an individual thing, and it's not everybody that would be able to sit down and think that they want to help somebody in their grief. It might be afterwards that they would decide that, but not at that time. Yeah, and for some family members, they couldn't even consider it, and others, they would see it as a great gift and as a comfort to them. We're really individuals. That's why we need to talk. Yeah. All right. And it is.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, it is such an individual thing, and, it is good that if you feel strongly about it that you can opt out, because everybody is individual. And I suppose with organ donation, everybody always says, yes, you can take anything, but don't take my eyes. That's something that everybody always says. But, generally people that you do ask in that, they say, yes, of course, I would love to help somebody in that, but it's just in grief and in a tragic accident, and unfortunately that's usually the way that it happens for organ donation. They're not thinking on, say, the likes of me with 3 children at home going to dialysis 3 times a week, that I could help that person at that time. And you wouldn't expect them to think that either whenever they've just lost a loved one. Yeah, for sure. And I might as well be honest and put my cards on the table. I've had this conversation many, many times, and I have not still had the conversation that I say it's so important that other people do. So I'm going to make sure that's discussed later today, because you have to... I don't preach, by the way, but just to use the phrase, you have to practice what you preach, don't you? I mean, I sit here, I ask all the right questions and say what we should and shouldn't be doing, but I've not done it myself, if I'm completely honest with you, Lisa. So I'm going to make amends to that. And it's not something that you're doing, it's not something that you're doing wrong. It's just something that you don't think on. You don't, when you're living a happy life, when you're healthy and you've young children and stuff, it's not something that you think on to bring up, so the fact that it is in the news and it's on the radio and it is opt-out now, and I'm sure even if it is opt-out and you haven't opted out, it's a very individual thing in the hospital as well too. And if your family felt strongly about it, I'm sure they wouldn't be forcing you to do it. But at the same time, it's good that it's there for people. Yeah. All right, Lisa, listen, continue good health to you. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Thank you. Okay. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Just to remind you, Tommy Fleming is going to be joining us before 12 to have a chat. He'll tell us where you can go and see him live, and he'll hopefully sing us a song or two. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up very shortly. I'm going to take a very short break. Stay right where you are.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union. 9102127.
Tá gá irid seansig páistí flua oil agus atáig daoine fásta. Rud a déach a bheith in a chúiscinis chun cúisig. Tá gach páiste idir gábhlín agus 7 mlína déag díis in an vaccine flu sróna oil sé an eisce. Is bailach sa bháilte agus éfachtach atá an soc in idir cosint, chun maid leis an cuid eile den teilech. Jane cuine le de Doctor Generalta nó le de Fotagéir. Tile óla sé ar fáil ag hsc.ie/flu ó aimimanacht nar seirbhíse sláinte.
There's big savings on big names for Christmas at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, like Nivea sets from just $3.95, Technic cosmetic sets from $4.95, Dove and Link sets also from $4.95, and there's great fragrance gift sets from all the big names at great prices. Treat a loved one this Christmas at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, or online at mcgees.ie. McGee's, with the best, costs less.
Are you frequently asking others to speak slowly, clearly and loudly? Is listening to the TV or radio becoming harder? If your hearing is affecting your everyday life, Connect Hearing are here to help. Our clinics in Letterkenny and Dunloe are open Monday to Friday, where you can avail of our hearing test, wax removal and repair services. Take that first step to better hearing. Call us today on 07491 13296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Are you ready to grow your career? At AXA, our branch network is growing and we're recruiting new team members. Based in the local community, you'll receive all the support you need to develop a rewarding career as an insurance professional. Competitive salary and full training provided. Apply today. Visit axa.ie/careers.
Highland Radio have done it again! Buy a ticket to win a car valued at €30,000 before Friday, December the 2nd. And you... Who, me? Yes, you will have 3 chances to win €1,000. These draws before the big draw will take place at 11:30, 1:30 and 3:30 on Friday, December the 2nd, live on Highland Radio. Yes, it's that simple. Get your Christmas off to a flyer. Go to highlandradio.com, click on the car link, purchase a ticket, answer a simple question, and we could be ringing you and helping make this Christmas stupendous. Get back on the road.
Okay, we have spoken on numerous occasions the situation as it relates to the traveller community in terms of mental health, life expectancy, and so on and so forth. And it often felt like nothing is changing, that it's just constant conversation. Hugh Friel, Roma Health Coordinator for the Northwest with Donegal Travellers Project, joins us now. We're talking in the context of a national plan to combat health inequalities among the traveller community. On the face of it, seems like great news. Digging into it, Hugh, do you think this will make a difference finally?
I think so, Greg, and it's fantastic news. It's very historical, I suppose, day in terms of the state recognising that this will be going forward, build a relationship between travellers and the state. And Munster Donnelly recognised that yesterday by saying the state nearly has failed the traveller community and hasn't done enough historically to improve the health statistics of the traveller community.
Yeah, because it's not just the disparity in life expectancy. A member of the traveller community, their life expectancy is 13 less than the settled or general population, however one might like to phrase it. But it's also to one's health when alive. And, the older but much younger a traveller gets, the worse their health can become, particularly between the ages of 35 and 54, Hugh.
I think we genetically, it's a very unique time of our life because we inherited, I suppose, the underlying health conditions that older members of the settled population would get. We've only 8 members of the traveller community who's over the age of 85 throughout the whole island of Ireland, and 2 of them are actually in Donegal. So them kind of stats around, age statistics and traveller men like myself dying 15 years younger than a settled person, women dying 11 years younger. This is about the social determinants, and also about the statistics around inequalities and discrimination and racism in terms of the health services, in terms of society, how they portray my community, the traveller community. So it's around these inequalities coming to the forefront, and the government taking, action around this plan in terms of the health inequalities that's facing the community.
I think you mentioned genetics there, Hugh, in your last answer. Does that need to be explored at all, or do we have to adapt our health service to understand perhaps the more likely health demands of a member of the travelling community between the ages of the likes of 35 and 54? Like, in other words, we have statistics to recognise that there is a problem here or there are issues here, but do we have a way to address that so that a 20-year-old traveller man might feel that his outcomes might be better once he hits 35? Do you get where I'm coming from? Like, rather than identifying it, we seem to know it. What can we actually do, I think, to address that and to improve standard of life?
Yeah, and I think this plan, Greg, hopefully the last plan was in 2002 to 2005. Unfortunately, that was a 20-year plan instead of a 3-year plan. So this is what we're talking in relation to the strategic policies of plans, and a lot of traveller organisations would recognise department plan sits on shelves, recommendation sits on shelves when it comes to the traveller community. And I think generically, like we've inherited, I suppose, societal analysis of how we portray our own lives in terms of that determines our lives for us in relation to our health statistics. Because if you look at the unemployment rate, it's 83 to 84% of the travel community, where 12%, I would say, or 13% is employed in travel organisations. That is very detrimental in terms of, travellers' outcome, in terms of their health, their well-being, their mental health, being part of society, being part of a community. And these things addressing the social determinants of that. Out of that came the 2010 All-Ireland Travel Health Study that was conducted through the Island of Ireland by travel organisations. And the stats that come out of that in terms of 6.6 times higher for traveller suicide. So if you look at that, the 42% of travellers are under the age of 15 years of age. 63% of travellers are over the age of 25. So our cohort of our community is at a very, very young age, where only 3% of travellers are aged over 65. So if you look at the stats in relation to that, and people in the community will say our travellers are big and they're aggressive and there's stereotypical views about travellers and we're hardy and we're this and that and on. That's not factual. You look at the facts are saying that the inequalities, that the racism, discrimination that my community face have detrimental effects on travellers on the ground. So 3.5% the mortality rates in terms of my community compared to the general population. It's just stats are shocking. They're absolutely shocking.
And you haven't mentioned yet, but it's an equally, if not more, shocking statistic is the level of suicide in the travelling community compared to the settled community. I mean, everyone knows, I think, the devastation when an event like that's happened. It is far too familiar for members of the traveller community to lose loved ones, relations by suicide.
Yeah, and I think I said a minute ago that we're 7 times higher in the general population in terms of comes to suicide. But and the genetics of perception of predicted deaths, where 58 predicted deaths is supposed to be the prediction around the traveller community in terms of a yearly death toll. We had 188 external deaths by suicide, by heart disease, by chronic diseases. Like my community is dying at a very, very young age, and it's not that we put a lot of emphasis into the health initiatives, but travel organisations like Donegal Travellers Project is the link between the community and the health services. And that was very proven, Greg, I suppose, during COVID, because a lot of the statutory agencies could not engage the traveller community or hadn't contacts around the traveller community. And the go-to place was Donegal Travellers Project in terms of the COVID information, in terms of the actions that had to be carried out from a government perspective, to the site visits, to the house visits, to the delaying information, to the COVID boosters, to all that stuff. The majority of travellers get their information from travel organisations, and that's proven throughout numbers of researchers.
Yeah. What's the figure? Did you say 3% of the traveller population are over 65?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a remarkable statistic. And when you reference to the employment statistics in the traveller community too, we need to actually come up. I know there's going to be some people that their thumbs on the phone, ready to say, oh, well, they don't want to work, or why would they work because of this, that. We need to move past that, right? Because I would say the majority of the traveller community do want to work. And if that were to happen, if we can make that happen through one way or other, and they're not just all involved in working with travellers, well, then the next generation coming through, things can change really quickly if we want to, Hugh, can't they?
Of course they can. And relationships is a key element to building a community as well, and engagement, because people have stereotypical views that never met a member of the travel community like myself in a work environment. I've never worked with a traveller. So your views and your opinions is really media-based or family-based on a negative aspect that you come into contact, or your families come into contact by a negative aspect of the traveller community. I've come in contact with hundreds of negative portrayals around the settled community, but that doesn't give me the right to judge you, Greg, as a settled person. But it vice versa, it gives you the right to judge my whole community if you have a bad experience with me. Yeah. But I think that this plan, I suppose, Greg, sets out the recommendations, and I think it's 1.6 million allocated, but that's only about 10,000, I think, to each CH Area 1, which is Cavan, Monaghan, Donegal, Sligo and Leitrim. And that's a very limited pot of money when you break it out to all the counties. But it's good. We have to develop a local plan that feeds into the national plan. And I think that traveller organisations, the best bodies to do that in relation to that. And I think we can make an overall change in relation to this. To even see 3 ministers there, at the launch was an acknowledgement in itself that they want to make a change around and accepting that the state has failed travellers when it comes to the health initiatives and our health strategies.
Yeah, and just as you mentioned too about negative stereotypes are out there. I mean, statistically, it's less than 1% of the Irish population are members of the traveller community. That's still the case, isn't it? Yeah, the odds of all of the individuals that have these predetermined notions, it's not likely they were based on their actual own experience. I mean, to put it into context, we now instantly in a short number of months have many, many, many more Ukrainians living in Ireland than we have members of the traveller community. That's just to put the numbers into some sort of a context.
Yeah, it is. And in my community, you could fit into Crow Park if you think of that way. We can fit into Crow Park very easily. And, we're only 1% of the population. But if you look at the health inequalities that my community is facing in terms, and that's me as well, because that although I'm employed and I know I have the tools and the toolbox to engage and we all suffer days of mental health, we all suffer dull moments in our life, and we all get depressed. But as long as you have the tools to get up in that bed in the morning, some people haven't got the tools to get out of that bed. And that's basically, in terms of, the information, the right adequate level of engagement through the travel organisations, family visits through primary healthcare. But primary healthcare has worked dramatically, Craig, and the primary healthcare workers through COVID for the 2 years. Even myself, has done a number of visits to houses with the HSE in terms of, COVID preventions and all that there, and boosters and all that there. We're not receiving any €1,000 as well, and it was asked for yesterday by the Minister that we would, because we were frontline workers, during COVID. We were out in the ground when people were at their houses, sitting at their houses or sitting at their offices. We were on the ground working with the community and out there. So them kind of initiatives, people have to appreciate the work that organisations is doing as well, and even to build relationships in terms of the health services. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes.
All right, we'll see what happens with this this plan. The only way we can really judge it is to see where we're at in a couple of months. Hugh, for now, thanks very much. Happy birthday to you, by the way. Celebrated a birthday recently.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
23, was it?
Yeah, 24.
A couple of decades onto that. Come here, good luck to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Great to chat to you, but happy birthday. That's Hugh Friel there, Roma Health Coordinator for the Northwest with the Donegal Traveller Project. Tommy Fleming is going to be joining us shortly. If you want to watch Tommy chat and perform, get onto our YouTube channel right now, Highland Radio Ireland. You can watch on your phone, your tablet, your big screen, or Facebook watch Highland Radio or Highland Radio News and Sport.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your Ulster Bank loan or overdraft? We are now offering competitive low-rate switcher loans and MyCU current account with overdraft.
Highland Radio are on the road in 2023. Join us for our trip to Dublin on Thursday the 23rd of February to see the 25th anniversary show of Michael Flatley's Lord of the Dance. This show has amazed audiences across the globe with its fusion of high energy, Irish dancing, original music and storytelling. Sit back and relax as we take care of everything.
Your trip includes luxury transfers to and from Dublin, staying at the 4-star Clayton Hotel in Dublin, including breakfast and your ticket to the show. Call us today on 074 9125,000 for more information.
Looking for a great gift for a wine lover this Christmas? In the seller off licence at Kelly Central, Letterkenny, there's great value in choice wines. Reds and whites from around the world, including great value gift packs. Also, selected boxes of beer, 20 packs from just €22. And many more amazing offers for Christmas at Kelly Centra Off Licence, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. The connoisseur's choice. Drink alcohol responsibly. See drinkaware.ie.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Celebrating the 25th anniversary of the first Joe Dolan Bundoran Music Festival, a spectacular Christmas party night at the Allingham Arms Hotel on Friday, December the 16th, with the sensational Joe Dolan Show, Remembering Joe, featuring 5 vocalists with the Dolan family and the original Joe Dolan Band, cabaret, dinner and accommodation if required. Now booking at the Allingham Arms or online at showtours.ie. Revive the 90s in Bundoran on December the 16th at the Allingham.
Dashers, dancers and prancers, get ready to do the Aware Christmas 5K your way. This year Aware is inviting you to help fund our vital services supporting people with depression and bipolar disorder. From December 9th to 11th, show your support by running or walking your way in the Aware Christmas 5K. You can join in anywhere in the country, from Dingle to Donegal. Please sign up at aware.ie and help make a real difference this Christmas. Proudly supported by Cadbury.
Okay, we are live back in studio with the one and only, as far as I've met, I've not met another one, Tommy Fleming. Good morning to you, Tommy. Thanks for joining us.
I'm great. How are you? You have never met another one.
No.
Apparently, there's somebody out there using my name on Tinder.
How are they getting on?
I'm sure. I'd say they're in for a massive surprise when they have the first date.
So, I think you were chatting to the Sligo Weekender, and I heard the R word.
The R word.
Retirement.
Oh God, I wouldn't call it retirement.
No, that was in the headline. Come here, you're not even dreaming of that yet.
I am actually. I'm
Really?
not being funny. I'm 52 this year, and I kind of. I've one now. It's not going to happen today or tomorrow. I've one eye on the kind of taking it easy seat.
Yes.
Because by the time I'm hopefully 55, please God, in touch wood, I'm healthy and live a good life up to then and continue to. And I just want to kind of really. It's not that I'm going to stop. I'm going to do things that I like to do rather than have to do the tours. I just won't do as much. I've already started to pull back. I've pulled back from doing stuff in the States because it's just more hassle than it's worth.
Yes.
In that it's, visas, trying to get in, the reason you're getting in, and then it's not just flying from one city to the other. You're doing overnight buses, and I'm not 21 anymore when it used to be great crack once upon a time.
Do you think this was going to happen anyway, or was there a bit of a reassessment over the last couple of years? The unmentionable.
There was a funny thing. Both actually. The answers to both of those questions is yes. I had an idea of it, wondering when I could do it. Then when let's just call it a spade a shovel here, when the lockdowns and COVID and all that happened. In the beginning, it was all somewhat of a novelty, and I don't mean that in a nice way. It was a novelty to everybody. And I was enjoying it. I was enjoying being able to go out and mow the lawn myself. I was enjoying painting the house, even though I was wrecked after it, and doing things that I never got to do. I enjoyed for the first time in years having a vegetable garden.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on a farm, so it's all that's still instilled in me. Then the second lockdown came, and it knocked me for 6.
That was the one
that floored me, because I had, and I don't mean this in a funny way, I had no control, and that, I didn't know what was happening. I had no answers for any of the band or the crew or people that were working with me, and there's 20-something people that work with me. And eventually I made a decision that in 2021 we had a tour set and everything else. I pulled it all in July of 2020 because I just knew this was not 3 weeks.
Which is an equivalent to shutting a small business.
It is, yeah.
And I don't mean in terms of the revenue. I'm on about in terms of employers. Effectively, you making a decision that affects other people's livelihoods. It's in a similar kind of a. It was a tough one.
It was a hard decision to make. It was a huge decision to make, and I had to make it so that everybody else could make arrangements around that decision, knowing what it was. Now everybody understood it, and everybody. I mean, what position I was in was tough to me, but there was people in an awful lot worse situations, and So we all got the kick in the arse that we didn't expect to get.
Now, I know you've got gigs coming up, which we're going to talk about, and doing bits and pieces like this. This probably wouldn't be your most favourite part of it all, but I would imagine when you get...
I love this.
Okay, cool. I imagine when you get up on the stage and you do the gigs, you're enjoying it, all right? But it is work. It's a big commitment. You have to look after your voice and your health and everything else. So I'm not saying you're not enjoying music now, but if if things go to plan over the next couple of years, do you think you'll be able to maybe enjoy music more?
I don't think I could enjoy it more.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But if you'd have more space, more selective,
I would probably be more creative.
Yeah.
I would have more time to be creative. Although I still, like even this morning, I woke up. I have a notepad at the side of the bed. I won't use the phone to put notes in it because it wakes Tina up because the light comes on. And I have a notepad at the side of the bed, and you should see my writing. It's like a doctor's prescription pad because I can the only one that can read it. And I wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and I have ideas, and I'll write the idea down because I forget it the next morning. And, for stories that come into my head that happened years ago that just for some reason I remember them. And one of them actually is I'm trying to figure out how to tell this story without being cruel or being mean or whatever the word might be. And with everything that we're all going through now with energy crises and all of that sort of stuff. And we used to tell a story about my Uncle Johnny, who was extremely frugal, let's put it that way, many years ago. And we used to laugh about this as teenagers, as adults. We could never get over how, and we called it mean, all right? But let's just be honest about this. We used to call it mean. And he used to get up in the morning. We thought this was ridiculous. He used to get up in the morning, boil electric kettle to make his tea. He was a bachelor. And he'd make his cup of tea or coffee, whatever it may be. And then he'd put the remaining boiling water in a flask so he didn't have to boil it.
It's starting to make a lot of sense, this man, but go on.
And now all of a sudden, I'm saying maybe people should be doing
I know, yeah. He was a visionary.
He actually was.
A visionary.
And, he would, I remember his central heating all went in the house, and it was an old house, and he wouldn't get a plumber in, so he used to get the free bus when he was pension age. He'd get the free bus to Sligo town, to go to the library to get the free book to read up how to fix plumbing.
I like your uncle.
God rest him. God rest him. I look back on him thinking, you were actually wise.
Is there a song in that? Is that where this is going?
I don't know if Christy Moore would probably have a great song.
Exactly.
In that.
I think it might fit his.
It'd fit his area more than mine
for sure.
But so that's kind of when I say I'm going off on a tangent there. But that would give me more time to be more creative. Like I go to Australia now on Monday morning for a week to do the PR tour for that tour, and I haven't got the energy I used to have. Like I was even up this morning at 6:30 because I knew I had to be here for 11:15, and I was up this morning at 6:30 to do my gym and do all of that and trying to fit everything in.
It's tough,
and
it seems glamorous, but
it's not at all. It's not that it's not glamorous. I can't lie around either. I hate being idle. I hate being lazy. And I just need sometimes, Tina and I said, look, we got a camper van and we go off and we become feral for the summer. And we go off, we take the summer off every year, and that's when I'm actually at my absolute happiest. The guitar is with me and creativity happens sitting in the middle of nowhere, having a bottle of beer, and that's heaven to me.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like all of us. I mean, we're all in the same boat. I think certain people of a certain age, your health, if you're lucky enough, is generally good.
Yes, absolutely.
But then you do look at, how long can you realistically look forward to enjoying that good health, and what are you going to do with that time? And some people think about it, others don't.
I don't think about it, but what I do think about is I don't want to be. I'm not one of these people that want to be older and still kind of running from Billy to Jack and going from north to south, east to west, and doing shows, and maybe not been as good as I used to be, and trying to be as good. Maybe I'm not good. Maybe I'm just getting away with it all these years.
I think you'd have been found out by now.
And I want to be able to kind of maybe take a back seat when it's in good form, when it's in a good place, and that I'm in a good place.
Yeah, and this is clearly very individual, because some of what I would see through doing this job a lot as the obvious reasons. You've got your own way of thinking about it and why you're doing it and where you want to go and what you want to be, and it's just personal to you and your partner probably as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not. I've had a great. The other reason I look at it too, Greg, is I've had a great 32 years of this, and 32 years is a long time, and I look back on those 32 years. Now, don't get me wrong, they weren't all plain sailing, and it wasn't all happy-go-lucky with rose-tinted glasses. There was tough times. I wouldn't be who I am or where I am today without those tough times. I remember, a memory dawned on me driving up the hill here today when Sean, what was his name? Oh, many, many years ago, he was a man with a beard that had an old folk show in the evenings on Highland Radio, and he was one of the first people to bring me on to sing a song at about 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
When I was about 18, 19.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
and I remember that many, many years ago. And you know, those are the things that I remember. But there's a generation that are coming behind me that need a good shot at this. They've had an awful 2.5, 3 years where they were just starting and they're kicked right down back to the bottom of the rung of the ladder again. And
I know exactly who you're talking about. Not who you're talking about, but the group, individuals you're talking about, and the groups you're talking about. Because do you know when some of them were just getting momentum, and it was you're just getting to the top of that wave. You're about to step up on the surfboard, and then bam, all ram, and it's so hard to build that back up again.
It's impossible. And I just I've been looking at different acts that are coming behind us, and I think it's time people like me or acts like me that have had a great run of it need to stand back a little bit and say, here's the step. This is the step you need to move up. Have a go.
Who would you love to collaborate with that's out there at the moment that you haven't? Is there any artist that you're listening to and you go, God, I'd love to record something with them?
I did a massive collaboration with a Donegal lad that I just got to know through online during COVID, and we've become great friends. Diarmuid McGee from down Ballyshannon direction, and Diarmuid and I remember I was watching. He collaborated with 3 other lads to do the Owl Triangle in the woods. He did a film, and I sent him a message and said this was phenomenal, loved it, and anyway we stayed in touch, and then we ended up collaborating on the new album. And we did from Les Miserables, we did I Dreamed a Dream. And it was one of the loveliest, one of the best collaborations I've ever had. And a lovely guy, a great guy to work with. As regards who else would I love to collaborate with, there's so many artists out there that the one that I would always had my, and with it almost the communication commenced, and it wasn't from me, it was from the other side, was with Barbara Streisand. When she was doing a thing in America, and that kind of just COVID sent that skew ways.
Yeah.
That would have been an absolute, wouldn't it? That would have been a dream.
And they put the feelers out for you.
Yes, she wanted to do an Irish thing.
Yeah.
She had a massive connection with her husband James Brolin. She lived in Ireland while he was doing some film in Clifton in Galway, and she was looking at doing some kind of, not as she called it, a Celtic song. And so there was loads of suggestions sent.
I would love to have heard that.
So that would have been a major. Look, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater yet.
But listen, let's hear you sing. Mary, I'm not going to talk about the gigs and all that are upcoming because you're right across the northwest. So there's great access for people listening wherever they are across the region. Mary from Dunlow.
Okay.
Why is this? I have a list of them here, and this was the one we picked out together, and we're going to hear another one from you. Is this a song that resonates particularly with you?
There's 2 reasons. There's 2 reasons this resonates with me, and I didn't know whether to kind of go here with this or not. My grandmother used to sing this, and it was my grandmother that actually taught me this. And then on the that awful night, the Friday night, I was in Letterkenny when the absolute tragedy, disaster happened in Creeshlock. Nobody knew, the words were filtering through to us. We were here in the Mount Errigal, and nobody knew, we were hearing bits and pieces, and we were all backstage and in the different hotel rooms going, what are we going to do? Will we pull? Will we do it? Not knowing what to do. And, you're caught between a rock and a diamond. And I just want to kind of, not really go into this, but this is, I just want to kind of dedicate this to Creeshlock, not just the people of Creeshlock, but to Creeshlock.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, then fare thee well, sweet Donegal, to the Rosses and Guidor. I'm crossing the main ocean where the foaming billows roll. It breaks my heart from you to part, where I spend many happy days. Farewell to kind relations. I'm bound for America. Oh, then marry your my heart's delight, my pride and only care. It was your cruel father who would not let me stay here. But absence makes the heart grow fond, and when I am over the may the Lord protect my darling girl till I return again. And I wish I was in sweet Dunlow and seated on the grass, and by my side a bottle of wine, and on my knee, alas, I call for liquor of the best, and I pay before I would go, and I draw my Mary in my arms in the town of sweet Dunlow, and I would rail my Mary in my arms in the town of sweet Dunlow.
Well done, impeccable, Tommy. That was absolutely beautiful.
It's a bit early to be singing in the morning.
It is,
anyway.
but you know what? You always manage to pull it out of the hat, so fair play. There's a number of people listening who are going to be lucky enough to have tickets for your performance in St. Agatha's Church in Donegal Town. It's a sellout on December 3rd. It's something I'd love to see that, actually, because I think just with your style of music, with your voice, and what I imagine the acoustics of that environment and the setting of it as well, I would say it's something to behold, Tommy. So I will be first in line the next time you come around for something like that.
Absolutely. Well, It's something that I suppose I've always loved doing ever since I was a child.
It's a spiritual thing.
It's spiritual more than religious.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
100%.
It's I don't know what I find a huge connection to not just music, but to it evokes such great memories when you sing songs like "Angels We Have Heard on High" this time of year, "O Holy Night." It brings me back to being that 9-year-old, 8-year-old kid singing in the choir, and coming home Christmas Eve at 1 o'clock in the morning, doing midnight mass, coming home at 1 o'clock in the morning, and Santa Claus has left one present, and there's just memories that have. It's sometimes they're not sad memories, but it's sad to remember because the people that are no longer there.
It's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, it's sometimes when you sing those songs and you sing them in those settings, it creates that memory again for you, and it just gives you that time to remember what you had.
Yeah, okay. Tommy's also in Harvey's Point on January the 14th. That's going to be, again, it's a beautiful setting. It's a
gorgeous
different type
setting,
of environment, but it's just to be...
Noel is brilliant. Noel Cunningham. I met Noel this time last year, actually, on a holiday in Spain, and just a lovely man, great man. And it's
very good heart.
Great, just a great spirit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Great way with him, as my mother, God rest her, would say. And then we're up in the Millennium Forum in February.
Yeah.
I haven't got the date. I should have the date.
We could do our own research on that.
Yeah, I should have done my own research on my way up.
Was in the Millennium Forum for the first time recently. Again,
I think it's the 21st of February.
You're right up on the stage, no matter where you're sitting there. It's like, I don't know what I expected. I'm trying to open my horizons a little bit. So I went there recently for the first time, and it's actually a really great setting to go and see.
It's a beautiful setting. It's a gorgeous venue.
Will you sing us out, Tommy?
I will.
Okay.
I will sing you out with when I mentioned that I'm heading to Australia on Monday, I'm going over for a PR trip for that tour in 2023. And I'm basically going over to turn around. I'm working in Sydney and I'm working in Adelaide as well. I'm doing a few TV things. But I started working with a really great friend of mine over there many years ago called Huey. And Huey wrote this song when we were working there in 2014 called I'm Watching Over You. And he wrote the song after his father had passed from a very long illness. And the song was written as a salute, as a tribute to the care team that took care of his father. Now, that was in 2014. And I had forgotten about the song until the summer before last when I started recording all these years, the album. And this came, I found the lyrics of it, and then I asked him to send me, and he didn't have a recording of it. So he actually rang me and played it on the piano, so we recorded it that way. And I just thought, with everything that has happened in the last few years, the years of loss in so many ways, worst of all, of course, loss of health, loss of life. But we've all lost like jobs, lost, I suppose, lost will, lost our freedom for so long. And that's what this song kind of brings me back to. And it's one of my favourite songs in the last while to actually sing.
We look forward to it. All right, everyone, chat to you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Thanks a million, Greg.
Here is Tommy Fleming. I'm Watching Over You.
Under a sky of grey, and you're waiting to see a shade of blue. So take my hand, now don't you be scared. The road is long, and I'm gonna walk beside you. So don't worry, rest all those troubles on my shoulders for a while. You can take your next steps, take them from my back steps, 'cause I'm watching over you. and I heard you crying today. And it was the saddest sound. So take my hand. Now don't you be scared. The road's bound to be long, and I'm gonna walk beside you. So don't worry. Rest all those troubles on my shoulders for a while. You can take your next steps, take them from my back steps, 'cause I'm watching over you. I'm watching over you. A broken heart or a troubled mind, well, you just take your time. I'm watching over you. I'm watching over you.
Good afternoon, it's 12 o'clock. I'm Emma Ryan. Gardaí are appealing to the public for assistance in tracing the whereabouts of missing